Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 223 of At Odds with Wrestling. Joe and Adam here. Adam, hello. How are you?
I'm doing good, Joe, and I have a question. Do we wait until the end of the football season to formally acknowledge me when it comes to the Pigskin Pick'em, or do you want to just get it out of the way right now? Because, like, you and Todd are competing over who's less bad, but I've quietly ascended to third place. You know, I've left Marcus in the dust. Hellions has been passed by. DeWicki, see you later. I'm just wondering, does my trophy come in the mail, or are you going to just have it at the comic shop for me? You there?
I'm talking. I'm saying things. Obviously, you can't hear me, but I can hear you.
No, the first thing I heard was you saying I'm talking, I'm saying things. So if you were saying during that, just say it again.
No, we're going to just start over. There's no reason for me to try to pick out the first minute of the show. We're starting over.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 223 of At Odds with Wrestling. Joe and Adam here. Adam, hello. How are you?
I'm good, Joe, but I was just wondering, are we going to wait until the end of the football season for you to acknowledge me regarding the Pigskin Pick'em, or can we just do it right now? Because
there's only one matchup I care about in the Pigskin Pick'ems.
Oh, yeah, well, you and Todd compete over who's less bad, and I've quietly ascended to third place. And I've left Marcus in the dust and passed by Hellions and see you later, DeWicki. I'm just really curious, is my trophy for the number one host going to be coming in the mail, or are you going to hand it off at the comic shop? What's the plan there?
Well, being that I don't have the trophy for number one, I've never had that. That sounds like a porch talk thing.
Oh, Todd's in charge of that?
Yep, he's the one who organizes the Pigskin Pick'ems. He's the one that sends out the reminder tweet every week. I have maybe watched a total of 10 minutes of football this entire season. So like my stake in this is negative, other than the fact that we have like over 50 people involved in it, and I'm beating over half of them. They should all be ashamed of themselves.
See, my problem is I start off really bad. Like when the football season starts, I have no idea who's good or who's bad because I don't follow the off season that well. Mm-hmm. So it takes me a couple weeks of being bad, and then I pick up the pace. And unfortunately, I don't think I can make up enough ground to finish second or third. There's too much of a gap there. But I'm happy to say that out of all the voices speaking into microphones, I'm number one.
Well, and I'll say this, if you pay attention and change your picks and care, then you'll do great in the Pigskin Pick'ems.
Yeah, as everybody knows, I'm somebody who cares and puts in the work. That's me. When you hear the name Adam Van, you're like, that's a maximum effort guy right there.
So your picks have been the same since game one, right? You haven't changed any teams since.
Oh, no, I'm saying, like, I absolutely change it. I change it so much to a detriment. Like, a game will be about a minute or two before kickoff, and for whatever reason, I'll change my pick, and I'll change it from the winning team to the team that lost. I tinker too much. Plus, like, halfway through the season, the Steelers got really, really good. Maybe more on that later during our sports talk segment. Later. Weekly purchases will have a little bit of a spin-off spoiler. But enough of that. I think we have a jam-packed show.
Boy, howdy do we. Let's get right into the first part.
And now, At Odds with Wrestling presents This Day in Wrestling History.
Hey, it's This Day in Wrestling History, everybody. On this day in wrestling history, 1996, Extreme Championship Wrestling held their event House Party 1996. If there was ever a transition show in the history of this promotion, this is it. Okay?
All right.
Now, I have the matches listed here. Okay, but there's a lot more that happened on the show than just the matches, and we'll get to them as we get to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
911 and Rey Mysterio take on the Eliminators.
I didn't know that was a thing. I've never heard of them teaming up, but that's cool.
They only teamed up one time. It was Paul's grand idea of let's have the littlest guy, not Taz, team up with the biggest guy, I guess 911.
Yeah.
So 911, so 911 Ray maybe are around for another 2 months. Next up, we have RVD in his debut for ECW taking on Axl Rotten.
Okay.
Too Cold Scorpio beats Mikey Whipwreck to win the ECW TV title. There had been like some flipping and flopping with the TV and the tag titles and would continue for the next couple months until they would settle on the Eliminators toward the end of February. Still babyface Brother Ray Deadly takes on in his last ECW match Jimmy Del Rey. Now, this was supposed to be the Dudleys versus the Heavenly Bodies. Dr. Tom Pritchard gets pulled to become Zip with the Body Donnas.
Okay.
So this ends up just being a singles match, but this is also the ECW return of Shane Douglas after he's been gone to the World Wrestling Entertainment for the last 6 months.
That Harold Dean Douglas role.
Yes. Sandman beats Conan. This is Conan's last ECW match. Main event is Public Enemy in their last ECW match against the Gangstas.
Did they go to WCW or WWF that time?
This is them going to WCW. They would come back and do ECW, I think, in like early '98 for like a show or two before going to WWF.
Yeah, and we've gone into great detail over how the wool was pulled over our eyes with Public Enemy not being good.
Yeah, in my heart of hearts, because I defended them so strongly as a teenager, this run gets a pass as long as I don't go back and watch it,
Yeah, it's better in your memory.
But we have the 1-2 punch of Sabu taking on Stevie Richards in Stevie's coming out party. You might remember from '96 the clip in the opening credits of Stevie drilling Sabu with a Stevie kick.
Absolutely.
That's from this match.
Okay.
This is also when Beulah announces that she's pregnant. Raven blames everyone but himself, yells at her and says, "What are you, an idiot? The pills say one at a time, you moron." And then she reveals that it's Tommy Dreamer's, and Dreamer comes out, and this is Dreamer and Beulah getting together.
Yeah, that's classic right there.
Yeah, so like this is like a big reset for the company almost. Like, your main players are there, your Taz's, your Sabu and stuff would be main event in the pay-per-view in a year and a half. But like looking back on this, I was there live for this one, of course. This was like my run, of being a fan at the ECW shows. But like looking at how many like new faces, returns, and like people leaving the company are all at this show.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at like Jimmy Del Rey and like Rey Mysterio, and a lot of the randoms are going away.
Yeah.
And being replaced with the people that built up to the main the first pay-per-view.
For sure.
Cool.
So we also have our head-to-head Nitro versus Raw in 1997. So WCW, we talked last week that on Nitro, as bad as everyone remembers Starrcade was, Nitro the Nitro after Starrcade was just as bad. Now here we are a week later. Things aren't any better. JJ Dillon comes out and tells us that Sting is still the champion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he won't tell us who won the match that went off the air last week on Nitro. He also tells us that the NWO is refusing to allow them to play the footage on TV. But they are making an injunction, and they will show the match on the debut of Thunder this week.
Oh, thank God. I'm glad that they got the clearance to do that on the show. And it's convenient that it's on debut of Thunder,
Yes.
All right. Glad it all worked out.
The continuation of the Jericho heel turn is happening.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out and he apologizes to David Penzer. He gives David Penzer a new tuxedo. He gives him a new chair to sit in at ringside. and he knows that he's an idol of millions, and he shouldn't be acting this way, and he tells us that sort of behavior will never, ever happen again. And then you'd be surprised in his loss to Diamond Dallas Page, it happens again.
What? Oh, man. I thought Jericho was a man of his word.
Yes. But this also is the beginning of WCW's New Blood, Not Runs Cold initiative. They hire what was that?
I said I know about this.
So they hire a ton of people because now they're going to be running 2 weekly shows, two 2-hour shows. So to not spread the roster thin, they start to bring in some new folks. Like this week we get John Nord. You know who John Nord is.
The Berserker.
He's the Berserker. And we also get Rick Martel.
The model.
Now, Rick Martel comes in and has like a nice little run. He gets like a little feud, like a little mini program at like Booker T and Chris Benoit and Fit Finlay for the TV title. He's like in that mix.
And then he in the best like aesthetic shape of his career at this point? He's like,
yeah. His hair plugs are a little suspect, but other than that, he looks great. Yeah. But like sometime like around like March, April, he breaks his leg during a match, and then like that's the end of his in-ring career.
No.
Uh-huh. Now, that's really all that's going on over on Nitro as they're building toward the debut of Thunder. Over on Raw, however, they are building up to Royal Rumble with the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels stuff. They're building up to WrestleMania with an interview with Don King where Don King says that Mike Tyson hasn't agreed to be at WrestleMania, but he's probably going to be at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. But I would say the 2 most notable things that happen on this Monday Night Raw is maybe Goldust goes a little too far. And this is the episode where, as the artist formerly known as Goldust, he comes out in full blackface.
Yeah.
Right?
Not getting that figure.
No, with the giant afro wig and the whole thing. Now, my internet connection has been spotty here all day. So we're going to roll some dice to see how this works out here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to interrupt anything here, but you see, a lot of you may have seen my commentary last week on Raw where I said there needs to be more respect for tradition of wrestling in the WWF. There needs to be more respect for some real good old-fashioned competition in the WWF. So, being as nobody else was going to do anything about it, I decided to take matters into my own hands. And at great personal expense to myself, I have flown these 2 gentlemen to be here tonight. I'd like to introduce Mr. Howard Brody and Mr. Dennis Coraluzzo. They are respectively the president and vice president of the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah.
The NWA is the oldest and at one time was the largest governing and sanctioning body for professional wrestling anywhere in the world. The NWA numbers among its past champions men like Lou Thez, Jack Briscoe, Harley Race, a lot of great names, and the NWA stands for tradition. And that's why I've asked these men to be here, and they have generously and graciously offered to anoint the winner of the next contest as the new NWA North American Heavyweight Champion. And at this point, I would like to introduce the contestants for this prestigious title. First, a man who is one of the great mat technicians of all time. He's a second-generation athlete, a former NWA champion, Barry Windham.
You know, Mr. Cornette didn't call him Blackjack Windham. Certainly in Wyndham's heyday in the NWA, he was known as Barry Windham, a young man that was deemed for...
And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce his opponent. Also a second-generation athlete. He hails from the great state of Tennessee. Well-gear veteran in the sport of wrestling. And he is the self-proclaimed world's greatest wrestler, Jeff Jarrett.
Let me see if I get this straight. An NWA title is going to be awarded to the winner of a contest in the World Wrestling.
So, let me see if I can get you that entrance gear. I wonder if that's for sale somewhere.
Double J has it at his house. It's in storage. When they talked about this era of Double J recently on the podcast, Conrad, with a gleam in his eye, asked Double J if he still had that gear. And Jarrett was like, I think I got it around here somewhere. And I'm like, oh, I would love that gear.
This is something I'm sure you saw on Twitter. It was making its rounds. Somebody was showing off a pamphlet that was handed out by the WWE Street Team at Nitro. Yes. And it was like all the reasons why you should watch WWE instead of WCW. And it's hilarious because it's like, oh, you need to watch WWE because of like no politics backstage. But on the front side where it shows all the logos of all the talents, in addition to saying like Sable 34 Double D, the thing that made me like popped me in the wrong way was it like said it had the NWA logo and it was like tradition. And I'm like, what person under the age of 50 is going to see the NWA logo and be like, oh, I got to tune in for that because of tradition.
Right. So many stories about this, and we'll get into the rest of Raw. And of course I have, vested interest in this because this Double J. There are stories that this was Russo's attempt, who was getting more power with the booking, to get Cornette to shut up about there being no wrestling on the shows. Right. Okay. And let Cornette bring in whoever he wanted, let him do it however he wanted to, and so forth. And, obviously this ends up being a dud. It was dead in the water.
Yeah, and I also don't remember, and I know nothing, but it being the North American heavyweight title. Like, what's the difference between that and just the world heavyweight title?
That's funny that you should mention that. So, at the time, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion was Dan Severn.
Okay.
So their ideas were, A, have Dan Severn come in and Double J beat him. B, Dan Severn just hand the title over so they could do this match on Monday Night Raw. Or some third option that doesn't involve upsetting Dan Severn.
And this is before Dan Severn was, like, with them, right?
Oh, yeah. Dan Severn doesn't come in until the summer.
Okay.
As the NWA champion, and they tease all the stuff with him and Shamrock and so forth. But yes.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't clear about that. I remember Severn being the champ because NWA went away for a while, and then I saw it in like the aftermags.
Right. And if you look here at the lineup for this Raw, we're not going to go through every match, but every match on this show except for the main event of the New Age Outlaws versus the Headbangers, the running through line to this episode is en route to the Royal Rumble, Austin DTA, don't trust anyone. After every match, he just comes out and gives everyone stunners.
Well, I mean, there's nobody really on there that... Owen, did he take one or something?
No, but okay. Owen ends up... So that's the thing. Like, obviously, Owen doesn't get one. Shawn doesn't get one. Triple H doesn't get one. But, like, The Rock and Ken Shamrock do. I think the Bariquas get them, like that sort of thing. Like, if you're out there for a match, Austin's coming out and stunning you.
Gotcha.
Double J wins the North American Championship. He does his little strut, and Austin comes out and stuns him,
Good.
But yeah, so again, this is just such a bummer. Like, 2 months into his run where Jarrett comes in, he gets the sit-down interviews with JR, he gets the shoot promo, he gets to name all the top guys. He does an angle where... he's like, I refuse to wrestle someone as low as Chains of the Disciples of Apocalypse. So they give him a pay-per-view match with The Undertaker, which he wins by disqualification. And then, like, the week before this Raw, he wrestles on Shotgun Saturday Night against a pre-Scotty Too Hottie Scott Taylor. And I'm sure at that point, Double J was like, I should have stayed in WCW, I think.
Yeah, but, like, what happened to this whole everything Jeff Jarrett touches turns to gold?
Well, listen, a great man once said, talent can only overcome so much bad creative. And
there's
Double J,
people have done it.
So this was, no, they haven't. Double J, this run of Double J at first was snake bit from the beginning, whether it be the gear, whether it be pissing off Austin, and that giving him a bad reputation, and then him literally coming in the week before the Montreal Screwjob, and then that just kind of like reshuffles everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take Jarrett like a couple months to get like the stink of the first part and then the second part of this off him. But like, he becomes an over commodity by the time the summer rolls around.
Sure. Whatever narrative makes you feel comfortable about it,
All of it makes me feel comfortable. So that's enough about the history. Let's get into the more recent history. What do you want to talk about from the last week, sir?
All right. If I had paper in front of me, I would tear it up in front of the microphone because like an hour or two before we recorded or started to record, so like Vince is coming back. This is just what I have written down here. Basically, and I'm just paraphrasing what I read in tweets because that's where I get all my news. But he is, as a majority shareholder, he is basically forcing himself back into power by appointing like yes men onto the board, which is, I guess, within his power. Otherwise, he won't approve any kind of renegotiation of television or any potential sale. Unless he's put back in as the full CEO. So, it's rare that this doesn't happen on a Friday, so Tim and Marcus can get first cracks at it. But
right, good.
Lots of questions, like if this does happen, and from what I'm reading, it's within his ability to do. What happens to Triple H? I'm sorry, what happens to Papa H? What happens to his rehires? What happens to people that have been, chomping at the bit to come back? Now that Triple H is in charge, whether it be Regal or Rusev or, the people that actually were hired and brought on TV. A lot of questions coming out of this Wall Street Journal article today.
So this is a very petty move, it feels like, for Vince.
Yeah.
There was a lot of speculation that even though Vince had publicly stepped down, that he was still, like, of course, controlling things. Whether it be that he was a board member, whether he had, like, a majority stockholder. But to make like such a grandiose move like this, it definitely feels as though he is now attempting to upset whatever Triple H has been lining up. And there must have been some catalyst, like some final straw that made Vince say like, okay, now this has been too much. Like, I can't allow this to go on any further. What are they doing to my company? Right?
Yeah. The moves probably started when they hired Jeff Jarrett.
No, Vince was the one who hired Jeff Jarrett way back when. Yeah. As soon as Vince was gone, Jeff Jarrett got the hell out of there with all the house show contracts,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, like I said, it's too soon to tell, right, what's going on, but it's definitely going to make for a very interesting beginning of the year and how this all leads to, like, do Triple H and Stephanie, like, say, okay, fuck it, you can have your company back and do what you want with it. We're going to take our stock options and sell out and take our golden parachutes, and we're good. We're done. We tried. Yeah. Your intent is to kill this company. Go for it.
Yeah. And it's just funny because like a lot of podcasts that we listen to all did their year in review shows, and we're talking about what the biggest story of 2022 was. And for the most part, everybody was talking about, hey, this is the year that we finally got rid of Vince McMahon, and we're not even a week into 2023, and it's looking like that's not the case anymore.
And I hate to say it, but we podcasters, internet people, what have you, are a very small minority. We're not the ones that pay the tickets to go to see the live events every week, to go see TV every week. We get it comped. And they're not the ones that when all this stuff started earlier in the summer, that when Vince came out to open the shows, they were the ones like chanting his name and bowing at him. That's the majority of the WWE fan base. Yeah. That's the people that Vince thinks he needs to please them, not us. We're a very small percentage, very loud and vocal, whatever percentage, but we don't spend a lot of money, and that's what Vince cares about.
Yeah, and not to belabor this, but let's say I want you to fantasy book something real quick. Let's say tomorrow Vince is back in charge.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not, it might take time or it might not happen. Tomorrow he's in charge, and Monday night he shows up on TV, I'm back, gets the thunderous ovation. What are the immediate changes that Vince does to the company as far as booking, pushing people, releasing? What are a couple things that you can see happening? Like, whose push is he poo-pooing? Who is he starting to push?
Okay. Hit Row, Karrion Kross, for sure are released, right?
Okay.
Women start to get de-emphasized a bit. Let me think who else. LA Knight beats no. Okay. The LA Knight Bray Wyatt match from Royal Rumble just gets completely scrapped. Sheamus beats Walter for the IC title, and Walter either goes back down to NXT or is fired.
Yeah. And like Intercontinental and United States titles don't mean anything anymore.
No, so I think Austin Theory having the US title means like he gets more of a renewed push. Not to say that he didn't he didn't have to say like he was still being pushed, but he wasn't getting pushed the same way when Vince was there.
Yeah, they somehow give him back the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, somehow, right? Yeah. But it definitely feels as though Vince is attempting to hold the board hostage to have them put him back into place. So it'll be interesting to see what the board does. Yeah. You know, like it's like you said, a lot of yes men, a lot of sycophants. I just hope my Brucey still has a job, you know?
Yeah. And if you'd like to know what I want to happen to Vince McMahon, just look at an Ed Cody tweet. That's my dream scenario.
I was hoping nature would just do that for us.
I know, but the fucker's hanging on.
Yeah. So yeah, the Vince thing is a big one, huh?
Yeah. And like I said, late breaking. You know, I had to shuffle my notes.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
I got the worst kept secret in all of professional wrestling, and that was the Wrestle Kingdom New Japan debut of the former Sasha Banks Mercedes Moné. Even though it's spelled Monet and has the accent symbol over it, her theme song and she says it Money. So that's how I'm going to say it. How do we tiptoe around this? Okay. I'm glad that the people that like this sort of thing have this sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to decry somebody else out there liking someone or something that maybe isn't for me, or I just don't get, or, you know, maybe I have, you know, no strong opinion one way or the other on, right? Mm. You know, when you look at the Four Horsewomen when they were in World Wrestling Entertainment, Sasha was like third for me, you know, above Charlotte. That's a good spot, right?
Everybody's above Charlotte. Which face of Charlotte was that? Because I think she's on her 7th when she came back this week.
Yeah, she's up to it. She has the same number of faces as her dad has world titles. But I don't have the same affinity for a lot of male wrestlers. Like, I'll never get Seth Rollins, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I understand why people get Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins will never be my guy, you know?
Yeah.
Randy Orton's another one. Like, I get why people like Randy Orton, but Randy will never be my guy, right?
Yeah, I don't get Randy Orton, but go ahead.
I get him, but he's not my guy. But with people like, let's say, Sasha or AJ Lee or Paige, like, the fact that there is a fan base that have such a strong affinity for these wrestlers, I've never gotten it, right? Mm. But it is what it is. I will say it sucks that she botched her finish on her debut at the Tokyo Dome. And the promo that she cut definitely sounded like someone who's been in the World Wrestling Entertainment System for the last 11 years.
Yeah. And a lot of the Sasha stands on the internet are saying that Kairi botched the finish. You know?
Right.
But I do have just, it has had to make a cut because of the Vince thing, but I was going to do a deep dive into Wrestle Kingdom 17. I'll just have to leave that for We Need Wrestling. I'm sure they'll do a great job. Omega versus Ospreay was amazing. So go check that out. And FTR lost the IWGP tag titles, and Okada won the belt back from Switchblade. So I think it was a pretty darn good show, and there were matches that didn't have Americans in it as well.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, go check that out. But as far as like, I am also not a Sasha person. I have no problem with Sasha, but I've never been like, oh man, I can't wait to watch another Sasha Banks match. You've said this before. She's got Star Wars money now, so she doesn't really need to wow anybody in wrestling. I'm more shocked that it seems like AEW pivoted from having her be the surprise partner of Paige. You know, like I guess that was the general consensus, is that it was going to be Hayter and Britt versus Saraya and Mercedes. But then they did that kind of weird three-way interview where Saraya picks Tony Storm, and it was like, okay, unless they're going to do something where an upset Sheeta lays out Tony Storm and then you have Mercedes show up, I mean, I could see that, but I don't know what's going on with Sasha. And a lot of people, I guess the WWE is of the mindset that she's going to get this Japanese thing out of her system and then come back to him with open arms. But yeah, I mean, when I saw that debut, and I actually learned about it first from seeing the Micro Brawler announced, I was just like, okay, I don't care.
So I still think it's going to be Sasha as the mystery partner. I think this is them trying to deflect, what was one of the worst kept secrets. And if that means that we're going to get 2 women's matches on the show, that like maybe like that weekend that we're going to get Tony and Sheeta again, this time not for the title. And that's how they work Sasha into the tag match. I definitely think they're trying to throw us off the scent, you know?
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
All right, my turn. I'm going to talk about, surprisingly, I have no AEW talk. I'm going to talk about AIW.
Ooh.
Jet Black New Year. I watched this live on Fights, and lots of fun matches. I think if I had to nitpick, I would say there was too much bloodbath, knockdown, drag out brawls in the match because you had Bishop versus Bronner, you had Dillinger versus Kaplan, you had Janela versus Justice, and they're all just plain murder fests, which is fun. But by the time we got to the main event of Bishop versus Broner, it was like, oh man, I've already seen 2 murders and I'm about to see a third one. So it might have been a little bit too much of that, but individually they were all fun. We saw Wes Barkley steal one from Brian Myers. We saw Swoggle take a face dive. But Joe, that's not why I'm talking about this show. I want to talk about the biggest travesty in wrestling history that has ever occurred. Montreal Screwjob, never heard of it. This is quite possibly the biggest screw job in the history of professional wrestling, all of sports, and that's that bulking season was robbed of their tag titles by the Bitcoin Boys and the person calling himself the Duke, the man who I used to be in the corner of, the owner of this Haas boot, which I don't even at this point think it's a legitimate title. I have to start questioning that. It's unjust, it's unfair, it's uncalled for, and Thorne needs to do something. He needs to do what's right. Immediately, we need a rematch where the Duke is locked in a shark cage suspended above the ring. That's what I think needs to happen, so the bulking season will have a fair shot at it and win their titles back.
All right. Well, I only got a chance to watch half the show from intermission, give or take, on because my kid had a piano recital on Friday night. I really enjoyed what I watched of the show. I already talked to Thorne about production elements and stuff. You know, that's a big concern with everything that's happened in the last couple months. I will say this. I like your idea, right? In regards to bulking season, the Bitcoin Boys, but I'm going to go you one better, okay? I'm guessing you can't hear me.
Oh, I can hear you. You say you're going to go one better.
Okay. I'm going to go you one better. Duke's still in the shark cage, so he can't interfere, okay?
Yep.
We got a tag match. Let's make it a 6-man match. On one side, we've got the challengers, bulking season, Chuck Stone, Arthur MacArthur, and you.
All right, I'm liking this.
Taking on the Bitcoin Boys and Young Ed.
Ooh. I like this even better. I thought I completely forgot you said that the Duke was in the shark cage. I thought it was going to be against the Duke. I like this.
No offense, Duke will wreck you. I think you might be able to tear up young Ed like Kleenex at a snot party or whatever, you know?
I beat him for a hardcore title back in the day.
That's right. You just better hope Dom has another booking that day or he'll just choke all 6 of yous out.
You know what? I would do that for free. I would do it for free. Maybe just pay for trans.
I'll let Thorne know, and I'll tell Ed to get his best cat girl outfit on, and we got it ready to go.
Excellent. You'll see if Artie has a spare siglet.
And again, Adam, you talk about travesties, highway robberies in the world of professional wrestling. You talk about tag titles being stolen away from their rightful holders. And you talk about the letters A and W. Well, you take that I out and you throw an E in. And I saw this past Wednesday one of the most disgusting displays I've ever seen. Aubrey Edwards should be ashamed of herself. Hang her head in shame. A Chris Jericho match that she refereed on that very show, littered with interference, no restarting of matches, no throwing any people out. All of a sudden, innocent Double J comes out, and with just the pure skill and the amount of muscle that you can create on a 55-year-old's body naturally, single-handedly, as far as I saw, was able to defeat both members of the Acclaimed and win the AEW tag team titles. But no, Aubrey Edwards has to come out, and she has to restart the match. I only wish that Jeff and whoever his partner is had gotten an opportunity to make it up to the ramp so that they could make the announcement that they had until the count of 10 to get back into the ring. Really add a little bit more Memphis onto the sprinkle there. But Tony Khan must feel the same way that I do. How quickly in AEW history have you seen a rematch signed 2 days after such a travesty like this would happen when it comes to the titles? I know it was a highway robbery. Tony Khan knows it was highway robbery. All the other members of Planet Jarrett know this was highway robbery. And Friday night, Adam, live on whatever station that isn't the fight thing that I definitely pay for to get no commercials, AEW, they're going to right the wrong. Double J is going to win the AEW tag team titles.
So when that title change, I use in air quotes, happened, as excited and happy as you were, I was equally pissed off. I was basically saying to myself, like, this is the end of AEW. This is the end of taking any title changes in this company seriously. You know, this is a company that has, you can count the amount of world champions on a hand and a half, you know, in the amount of time that it's been around. They don't go giving title changes or titles to just anybody. And to go and give it to basically a guy who is not over in the least bit, and I will say that I meant Jay Lethal. And
okay. All right, I was going to say, wait a minute, hang on, my heart.
And a guy damn near in his 70s.
55!
You're going to go and take the tag belts off of quite possibly one of your most over acts in the company who really haven't had the belts that long. I nearly threw a hissy fit when that title changed initially. And then when it got restarted, a sigh of relief literally went over my body. Like, to me, it was one of those "it's still real to me, damn it" moments where I was just legitimately happy. I have not been this happy that, like, the Acclaimed walked out of there with the belts since, like, Orange Cassidy won the North American title. Like, that is, or whatever it's called, the Intergalactic East West Atlantic belt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was so relieved that Lethal and Jarrett did not win those belts. And everything I just said will be null and void if they go and once again put wrong what was once right on Friday night.
It's going to be a late night because after Rampage was on at 10 o'clock. I assume it's going to be the main event. Battle of the Belts. They're going to make things right. I know Tony, I know you're a listener. Double J. And this real personal beef here. You could tell that this was real because Max with his rap last week, and then Jarrett making the comments on his podcast, and then Anthony Bowens tweeting and tagging Double J saying, "You better not take no liberties in the ring, you." And then they worked a perfectly good, sound, and safe professional wrestling match. You could really tell that this is a heated rivalry, and this is real now.
Yeah.
Titles out the window.
Is this on Is there a Battle of the Belts special this week?
Yes, this Friday.
Okay.
Rampage is 10 to 11, and then Battle of the Belts is immediately following Rampage.
Okay, I gotta set my DVR because you have to do that every single time there's one of those shows.
And both are live. No tape, baby. No spoilers.
See, first of all, then Jarrett's got to go at the beginning of Rampage then, because there's no way he's going to be able to stay up that late. It's way past his bedtime.
Listen, Jeff will just have like an extra coffee, clean living these last 5 years. He'll get an extra nap in the day and an extra nap during Rampage. He'll be fine. Don't worry about Double J.
I hope you finish your Friday unhappy. No disrespect.
Well, I'll just say, I did spend a considerable time on Wednesday in Hagerstown preparing the floats to do the victory parade from Hagerstown to Henderson. So, again, it was just a 2-day delay on the parade. The floats are ready. They're covered. The Grand Marshal has been announced. It's me. And hopefully, LA Knight gets a prime spot on SmackDown to further rub it in Vince's face. Yeah. That's it. Double J.
Joe, is there any truth to the rumors that you were under the Uncle Howdy mask and you took out Bray Wyatt to help out LA Knight?
No, the Uncle Howdy mask though is based on my visage though. Not the merch one that the fans buy and they scare Alexa Bliss with. But the actual Uncle Howdy mask is based on my facial structure.
I thought it looked familiar.
Yeah.
I got to picture it with the John Cena hat on it now.
Right.
It'll probably make sense.
And last thing I just want to touch on, I am not, qualified to eulogize this person, but Don West had passed away over the weekend. Don West, a huge part of not only the original days, but during the entire Jarrett regime of TNA, Impact, whatever. And Don West is at the top of the list. And obviously now a lot of people can change their tune. But I tell you, man, when he was on commentary in those early TNA days and he's getting up on the table and he's chanting for Red and he's doing the end of the show hard sell for next week's show, those were some of the best bits at the time in TNA. When there wasn't a lot of great bits in TNA, and everybody online was like, fuck this guy, he stinks, get him off TV, blah, 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 all this other stuff, right? What a carny fuck when he's doing the things with, selling the brown bag specials of the DVDs. He was someone who was a huge person on the Home Shopping Network at, the boom of, Beanie Babies and sports cards and that sort of thing. He was not a wrestling guy. He came in and did an impeccable job in his roles that he was given in TNA and Impact. He is someone that you will never see anyone in the business say a bad thing about. Everyone loved Don West. And, he's one of those guys, like I said, top 3 on the list of people that the internet tells you are bad, but are actually good. Last week was Jim Duggan. This week it's Don West.
I've actually been fortunate the last week or so, ever since I set up my TV in my bedroom. I think I tweeted about this, but there's a channel that Samsung streams that's just Impact/TNA wrestling 24 hours a day.
Oh.
Very little commercials. And it's, for the most part, it bounces around because every once in a while you'll get here's, Kenny Omega in a recent, defense of the title. But then it's mostly old 6-side ring stuff. And like just last night I was watching a match that was like DDP versus Raven and Eric Watts interfered. Like it was really weird, like you don't associate with TNA, but it was all had Don West on commentary. And I like Don West, and I'm not just saying that because he just passed. Like I've always liked him. I was actually a fan of his before TNA because you mentioned him doing the card sales on Home Shopping, and I used to love watching that stuff. I'm trying to remember if I actually ever bought anything from one of his shows. I'm not sure if I did, but a lot of the things that he would talk about on the shows, you know, he'd be like trying to pitch like a Jim Mint 10 Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. And like I'd learn a lot about graded cards from that during the infancy of grading. And then I used a lot of that information to then go on eBay and buy a lot of stuff. So like I think Don West and those like shopping shows are partially responsible for me being the card collector that I am today. So I'm a big fan of like his work with that and obviously with TNA. So yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, and it was pop culture too. You know, I know they did bits about it on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. I know they did bits about it on Opie and Anthony. So, you know, Don West was all over the place, man. All right. That's all I got to talk about.
Yeah, that's it for me. So,
right.
Homework?
Homework.
Homework. It's an obligation you owe your family and yourself. Homework. Homework. It's an obligation you owe your family and yourself.
So this week we are watching what Adam assigned, which was the 2000 feature-length film inspired by the events of World Championship Wrestling, Ready to Rumble, starring David Arquette, James Caan's kid, and Rose McGowan.
Oh, yeah. And I had no memory of Rose McGowan being in this, but boy, howdy.
Yeah. So, Adam,
Yes.
Did you see this movie in the theaters?
I did. I saw this in the theaters when it first came out. I have not seen it since.
Okay. I've seen this movie a ton of times, right?
Okay.
This may have tipped me over into seeing this movie like for the 7th or 8th time.
Really? So you just dusted off the old VHS and popped it in then?
I did. I had to wipe some Spectrox off of it, of course. But so it's one of those things where I watched the movie again this week, and I have to ask the question because I still don't know the answer to this, Adam. Is this a good bad movie or a bad movie?
I think we'll have to go through the movie before we can decide on that, because I have conflicting thoughts.
Okay, so do I. Now, we're not going to go blow by blow with this. You know, you can head over to masslibrary.com where Kevin wrote up a magnum opus about this film. I think what Kevin wrote this week was the most that had been written about Ready to Rumble collectively up to just the other day.
It's possible. And I just want to shout this out here that when he was talking about David Arquette basically stealing the stink palm from Brody in Mallrats.
Yeah.
He says, copy an anus, get an anus.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing right now. I was laughing for like 20 minutes after I read that. That was good stuff.
Kevin had a lot of good lines in his write-up. He always does, but this one obviously a lot more. So he mentioned that while this was like a wide theatrical release, it really wasn't playing like everywhere. Like he had to drive like 2 hours, or like he would have had to drive an hour to go see it, right?
Yeah.
And this actually came out right around the time that Beyond the Mat was still getting like boutique screenings and stuff.
Okay.
And we were told, me and my group of friends were told that it was playing at a theater outside of Philly. So we drove to Philly, with the intent to see Beyond the Mat. But instead, Beyond the Mat was not playing. Somebody had called and said, is the wrestling movie playing? And they just said, yes. And it was this, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's the bit that they steal from Mallrats. And that's the thing. This movie is like, we're going to take a little bit of American Pie, and we're going to take a little bit of Mallrats, and we're going to take a little bit of this teen, like, sex comedy, and this road trip movie, and, like, put all these things together and put, like, wrestling as the through line, right?
Yeah.
And I think because there's so many disparate parts, that's part of the reason why the film doesn't work, but still has, like, a little bit of charm, okay?
Yeah. And can I say, like, my biggest gripe about this, I mean, it's obviously not a movie that you would recommend to a non-wrestling fan.
No.
Or even, like, a current wrestling fan who doesn't know who half these people are, or most of these people are, probably wouldn't appreciate it either. But this movie is, obviously, it's a movie made for WCW by WCW. You know, it's got all their fingerprints on it. It's got their brands, their wrestlers, all that stuff. It works overtime to paint wrestling fans as like hicks and virgins and dummies and just the lowest of the low people.
Yeah. So when you say that WCW's fingerprints are all over this, I just want to mention Eric Bischoff, okay? And you have to take what Eric Bischoff says with several grains of salt and maybe a swig of Buffalo Bill Cody beer, right?
Yeah.
Because Eric Bischoff on his podcast said that the budget for this movie was between $50 and $60 million. The actual budget of the movie was $24 million. Eric Bischoff also says that he was originally cast to play the evil heel promoter that was played by Joe Pantoliano.
Mm-hmm.
But then, because before filming on the movie started, he was let go of his duties as executive vice president of WCW. Okay, This movie comes out in April of 2000. Bischoff was let go from his position in WCW on September 19th of 1999. Okay, so Bischoff is leading us to believe that this movie, from initial filming to editing, distribution, and release, was less than 7 months.
Sure, why not?
Okay, so there is Bischoff stuff in here because, like, they're both from Cody, Wyoming, which is where Bischoff was living at the time. But, like, contracts in wrestling don't work the same way that contracts for, like, real things work. Like, it's not like, oh, well, you have a contract already with WCW, Time Warner, so we're just going to take that contract here and put it into this movie. No, you get an entirely separate contract written up. You get an entirely separate deal written up. So I think that Bischoff might be lying a little bit there, right?
But entirely possible.
But he also says that it was Warner came to WCW in an attempt to use the WCW IP to increase ratings and thoughts and feelings and whatever about WCW, because when this was initially put together, WCW was losing the war by this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they're already on the new WCW logo, you know, the weird, like, big C in the middle.
So this was part of Warner's plan to try to, like, build brand awareness of WCW, and he claims, Bischoff does, that they had very little input as to, like, the story and the characters and everything else like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I would assume so, because not only do they paint their fan base as, like, buffoons, but they paint most of their wrestlers as buffoons, and one of the main story parts of this movie is that wrestling is fake.
Yeah. Except
when it's not.
Well, that's a trope going back to, like, Body Slam, isn't it?
No. So, so what happens is, and again, the classic Body Slam, which I've seen at least 3 times as many times as Ready to Rumble, Harry Smilak, played by Face from A-Team, thinks wrestling is fake, which is why he gets involved with it. But then he finds out that it's, like, super real.
I thought and maybe I'm getting my old wrestling movies mixed up, but I feel like there was a wrestling movie I saw back in the 80s where they were explaining to like a newbie that like all the matches are predetermined except for title matches. Those are real.
I don't think it definitely wasn't in Body Slam. There might have been something else where that happened in.
Somebody let me know what that was, because that's the first wrestling movie I ever saw, and I feel like that might be important in the future.
It's like even like No Holds Barred played it like it was real, you know?
Yeah.
Like at least in the context of the world that the movie exists in. And again, listen, we're not going to go beat by beat. We're not going to go by the plot of this movie. Two virgins, David Arquette, who's 28 in this movie, and Scott Conn, who's 23 in this movie, are teenage virgins.
Yeah, they're definitely like they're played as if they're like just out of high school. Like they just, they're still living at home, but they're 19, 20, they've got the kids' rooms, they haven't gotten real jobs yet. But right. David Arquette's definitely way too old for that role.
Right. And it's a road trip movie as well, and Kevin goes much more into it. But as I'm doing this, the logistics of this road trip don't make a lick of sense, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and then the cursing, horny grandmother wrestling fan was the rapping granny from, like, Wedding Singer, right?
Okay.
So you have, like I said, like all these different bits and pieces and drips and drabs from all these other genres that are happening at the same time, and like none of it really fits. Okay.
Yeah. And can I take exception with something that's established early in it? Is how the hell is the King like the biggest star in this company? It's just a fat, like older dude with a lame, like tired gimmick of basically being Jerry Lawler. And like he is perceived by these fans as being like 1985 Hulk Hogan. It's just the most over guy on the planet.
Well, if you believe Bischoff, again, if you believe Eric Bischoff, a lot of the idea for the not so much the in-ring persona, but everything outside of the ring, it was supposed to be taking shots at Ric Flair's personal life.
Okay.
But again, you have to take into consideration that literally the least reliable narrator in the world of professional wrestling, and this is someone who makes excuses for Bruce. This is coming from someone who makes excuses for Bruce Pritchard. Okay. But I just think it was. And this is another thing. Okay, Jimmy. So the reason why it was probably Jimmy the King, played like way too good for this movie by Oliver Platt, right? The continuity person on this film and the editor on this film should have both been fired. Like so many times you could literally see them like switching places with Oliver Platt and Chris Kanyon. And the only reason that it was Jimmy the King was because Kanyon was the lead stunt guy, and we need someone who kind of sort of looks like Kanyon because he's the one who's going to be doing all the bumps in this movie. And I think Kanyon was like maybe like 7 inches taller and like nowhere near as thick as Oliver Platt, and it shows in this film.
Yeah. And you talk about continuity, and Kevin mentioned this in his write-up when I think Sid went to throw the King outside and through a table. They showed a wide shot of the table and it was completely empty, and then the table that he actually went through had like some empty soda cans on it and like WCW magazines.
Right. And another thing was, so like we have our match with DDP and the King. DDP comes out alone, okay? Mm-hmm. Then when we cut to DDP reacting to Jimmy the King's entrance, Jimmy the King, or in the ring already with DDP are Bam Bam Bigelow and Sid, right? We never see them come out, but they're already in the ring with DDP, okay? Mm-hmm. So then Jimmy the King comes out, and then when they're shit-talking while Joey Pantoliano comes out, Bam Bam and Sid are still there with DDP. Conan and Mr. Perfect, who we never see come out, are already in the ring with Jimmy the King. And then when the match starts, all those guys are just gone. And then later they do a run-in separately in the match.
Yeah.
And there's scenes like when they go see Sal Bandini where Jimmy the King's hair like changes from like different camera angles. Like he literally, like his hair grows like literally like 5 inches in between shots, Mm-hmm.
And another thing I'll complain about, and obviously you said that WCW had no input into this, but
that's what they claim.
Yeah. If you are like suggesting wrestlers or casting wrestlers to put them into this. Like, I feel like everybody is against, like, you're not in your proper role. Like, you have an active babyface in DDP that you have as the number one heel in the movie. You have, like, Mr. Perfect in the babyface's corner. You've got all these random, like, everybody's a heel at one point, and then you have, like, I think, is Sting the only person who is portrayed by WCW as being, like, a stand-up guy, like, as being a true babyface?
No. So here's who we get. Sting, Booker T, and Disco Inferno are the only three baby faces in the whole movie.
All right.
Oh, and that's another thing. So, we talk about, like, they get movies, so everyone probably gets, a separate contract to be in the movie. They probably got paid scale, but they're in the movie, right? They probably get residual checks from this movie. And again, probably not big residual checks, but whatever. The fact that Disco Inferno gets a residual check from this movie. Michael Buffer, and yes, they still Ready to Rumble from him, but I forgot that he was in the movie, and I'm sad that he gets a check from this, and Van Hammer gets a check from this. Those are the three people. Everyone else, I'm fine. Collect a paycheck, get that $20 quarterly paycheck for Ready to Rumble streaming nowhere, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, so there's, like, so many fun quotable lines in this. Like, I love Martin Landau as Sal Bandini. He's such, like, a fun character in this film, right?
He's like, wanna wrestle?
Yeah, Sal Bandini, wanna wrestle. Classic, Yeah. But there's a bit that I completely forgot about. I never put the two things together, okay? And I talk about this movie being like, like taking all these disparate parts of different movies and putting into this, the Mallrats things, the farting nuns thing, all the other things, right? But one of Jimmy the King's many catchphrases is that he's going to rule that ass, which I'm reminded that's Ward of Warhorse's many catchphrases. So not only is Warhorse like a cheap imitation of like an Ultimate Warrior and now a Macho Man Randy Savage with the Slim Jim nonsense, I forgot that he lifted stuff from this movie as well.
Oh, it's a shame. He's been exposed.
He's been exposed. We're at least in double digits of being exposed as a lame-o.
Yeah, and since we're bouncing all over the place, let's just talk a little bit about Nitro Girl Sasha, if we can.
Okay.
Holy shit, absolute height of powers, Rose McGowan. Again, I did not know that this was coming. The first time I saw her in the movie is when they just non-problematically were just looking right into the Nitro Girl locker room that was just wide open, exposed to the public. All makes complete sense. And I was like, first of all, I was like, holy crap. And then I'm like, who is that? I recognize that. That's not a Nitro Girl. That's like a person. And then I looked it up on IMDb, and I'm like, oh, my God, I didn't realize she was in this. But kudos to her. Best casting in the movie.
Well, if you looked up, you would see that she not only hated doing this movie, hated her time on this movie, but considers this like the low point of her career.
And that's somebody who dated Marilyn Manson, too.
Right. And again, listen, you can't judge. We all go through whatever. But I knew she was in this, but to say sticks out like a sore thumb when they first see the Nitro Girls performing and all the actual shoot Nitro Girls are all wearing the same outfit, but then Rose McGowan is dead center wearing a bright, like they're all wearing white outfits and she's dead center wearing a completely different outfit with a completely different wig on. So they're like, make sure that we stand out that she's the lead Nitro Girl,
Yeah. And I was going to say, I also like how, I forget which one it was, David Arquette must have said it. He's like, I have your poster up in my room, which is a line that I use on girls at indie shows all the time. So I'm stealing from this, too.
All right. Well, you can steal from whatever you want. When you steal from multiple sources, they say it's research.
Exactly.
But I also like that so Nitro doing the scary loop of Monday night Nitro in Wyoming, then the following week's Nitro in New York, then the following week's pay-per-view is in Las Vegas, yet all three buildings look like they were taped in the Impact Zone.
Yeah, I wrote down that the pay-per-view has less people in it than Steel Stacks did.
Well, they had to make room for the giant castle set and the triple-decker cage and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So, I think this movie's biggest failing is that it's too long. Before the credits roll, it clocks in at an hour 40, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have taken out the bit where they recruit the local yokels to be Jimmy the King's crew that accompanied him to the ring for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, because you had all the training montage stuff where they were just, between him getting stretched and then, him working out a little bit with the kids from the convenience store following him. Like, it was completely unnecessary because they were irrelevant. They were there at the pay-per-view, but it was Arquette and Khan that were, involved in the match.
Right. But I think so that is what keeps this movie from being a good bad movie to being a bad movie, is that it's too long. If it was 86 to 90 minutes, perfect. You're not going to feel like you're wasting time. And I tell you, that extra 16 minutes, feels like an eternity sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that with something that was so closely associated with WCW and whether, in my mind, when I watch this, I think of it like, how WWE has their film division, that they have the final say on. I get that is not what this was, but to anybody watching this with all the WCW IP and their wrestlers, you have to feel like, okay, this is a WCW production. And with that mindset going into it, just the way that it's a nonstop dumping on wrestling fans, it's hard to have some type of affection to this movie, even for it being a campy movie.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh man, it's bad, but I kind of like it. You can't say that because it's constantly being like, hey, you, the person that's watching this who likes wrestling, haha, you're a piece of shit. And that's what's just hammered through the entire movie.
Right. You're a dope. You're an idiot. And even when you do good, it's because you slipped in a banana peel and you're a dope anyway. You're always made to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how much more you want to get into it, but I have a question for you. So obviously coming out of this and promoting the movie, we get the infamous David Arquette world title reign, and that's super polarizing, and it's seen as another nail in the coffin of WCW. An idea that popped into my head, and I have no idea why this wasn't on the table or who poo-pooed it, but what do you think of it, instead of that happening, if you had David Arquette and Scott Kahn on WCW TV and they won the tag titles? Would that, obviously it's not the world title, so it's not nearly as, nefarious or as controversial, but it's just the stupid tag titles, and I think it would have been just as impactful, or have Oliver Platt and just have him not take a bump or whatever. If only Arquette wanted to get physical, you could have figured it out. But, what about them being the tag champs or some combination of the actors being tag champs instead of the world title? Do you think anybody would ever refer to it again, or would it just be completely forgotten, unlike the world title?
So, obviously you have to take in consideration that more than likely the only reason that they had it be David Arquette was because David Arquette was the wrestling fan, and David Arquette took the money that he got paid by WCW to do this to help pay for Brian Pillman's family's medical bills and Owen Hart's family's medical bills, with the passing of them, to try to convince Scott Kahn and or Oliver Platt to do anything else in regards to this film. It would have been an effort in futility. But again, I get what you're saying. In a perfect world, it would have happened, right? Yeah. Let's say we get them all on board. You would have had it need to be a continuation of the film where it's Oliver Platt and David Arquette as the tag team with Scott Kahn as their manager, winning the tag team titles. And I think if you have that happen, I think it's remembered a little bit more fondly, but not remembered to this day.
Yeah. Okay. It just popped into my head, and I was like, that would actually kind of make sense, and it would be You know, you'd still have your Cornettes being like, I got these actors out there, but like in the grand scheme of things, you and I wouldn't be shitting on it 22 years later, you know? But to answer your question, I don't know if I'm going to say that this is a good, bad movie, but I don't think it's like complete dog shit. It's by far not the worst movie I've seen, but I don't know. Like, let me ask you this. I think I know your answer to this, but if you had to rank Christmas Bounty or Ready to Rumble, which is your number one and which is your number two?
Oh, Ready to Rumble is far and away better than Christmas Bounty.
I am going to say Christmas Bounty is my one, and Ready to Rumble is my two.
No,
you know wrong. What? I'm thinking, you know what? Oh, man, Rose McGowan. I take it back. Ready to Rumble is my number one. It has the Rose McGowan bump.
There you go.
He had foreign objects hidden.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I'm writing down my rankings because it might come up in the future.
All right. So, I have my assignment for you for next week, Adam, right?
All right.
So, you know, everyone, we're talking about WCW here, right? Talking about Ready to Rumble. And everyone talks about the big time when Russo comes in the end of 99, you know, shakes things up, the powers that be, all that sort of stuff, right? Everybody talks about the April 10th, 2000 Nitro, where all the titles get stripped and it's the New Blood versus the Millionaires Club, right? For better or for worse, everyone remembers this stuff, right?
Yep.
You know what people don't remember? That 3.5 month period from January 2000 to March of 2000 where Russo's fired and Bischoff's nowhere to be found.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to be watching.
All right, all 3 months.
That era, that 3.5 month stretch of WCW.
All right, hopefully in bite-sized portions.
Well, okay. So, you know, we already watched that one Nitro that happened from Wilkes-Barre, right? So we're not going to be watching that again. We already watched that episode of Thunder where Stacy Keibler debuted Los Fabulosos, right?
Oh, we sure did.
But we're going to watch every Nitro, every Thunder, every pay-per-view, and maybe assorted episodes of Worldwide and Saturday Night in between. Now, to know where we're going, we need to know where things end, okay? So, we are going to be watching this week the January 10th, 2000 episode of Nitro. Now, this is the last episode of Nitro that Russo books during his regime. After dozens of people are hurt, Jeff Jarrett gets hurt on this show, and they have to completely rebook the pay-per-view that's happening this upcoming weekend, right?
Yeah.
So, this is the Nitro where in 3 consecutive matches, Jeff Jarrett wrestles George the Animal Steele, Tito Santana, and Jimmy Snuka.
All right. I feel like this is all just a vehicle to get more Jarrett onto this programming somehow.
Okay, it's not, but what it is it's, for the most part, light and fun things, you know, like the pay-per-views run about 2.5, but there's not going to be a ton of them. Episodes of Nitro and Thunder edited down, you know, not going to be huge chunks of time, right? And when we ended up watching that Nitro that I mentioned from Wilkes-Barre and the Thunder that we watch, I'm like, I wasn't watching WCW during this time. Like, I was aware of it, but I definitely wasn't watching it. I was like completely WWF and ECW pilled. But I had fun watching those shows because it was like new wrestling to me because it's stuff that I either had little memory of or never saw before. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm just like, there's stuff that I remember that happens during this period, and I'm just kind of intrigued to see when and where it all happens, you know?
Yeah. I definitely feel like I lived this period. I was watching WCW, but I was maybe checked out to the point where it was on in the background, and, you know, I just didn't really retain it. So, yeah, all right, I'm here for it.
Okay. So it is on the network. I don't know what season it is, but January 10th, 2000. if you want to watch the real version with like the original airing and the correct music and stuff, just drop me a line. I'm sure I could point you in the right direction,
Yeah, interesting. Through completely reasonable legal means, of course.
Yeah. I've been converting all my old VHS tapes to digital files these last couple days.
All right, nice.
All right, so Adam has his big announcement. So what sort of big announcement needs this sort of triumph to it?
The gender-neutral monarch of At Odds Wrestling.
That's right, Joe. It is time to unveil the final brackets and to start the voting for the 4th annual-ish gender-neutral monarch of At Odds Wrestling Tournament. And over the last couple weeks, obviously, our friends in podcasting, they nominated their champions, and I snuck some people in. I even let you have a plucky underdog thrown into the tournament. But it's time to announce who is wrestling who. Are you ready, Joe?
I am ready to hear these matchups.
All right, so obviously this is a 16-person tournament. On the left side of the tournament, we have 4 matches. And on the right side, we have another 4 matches. So we're going to start in the top left and work our way down. We're going to start with what many people are calling the number 1 seed in this tournament. I feel like this is his tournament to lose at this point. And that is the Boar.
Oh.
And the Boar...
I thought it was this guy.
Oh. You're a little quick on the button. Please hit stop. The Boar... Let me just say that again without the sullying of that terrible music. Will be facing a person who called their shot. They tweeted that they wanted to be in this tournament. And I said last week's show, you want in, you let me know. And that is the owner of the sepia button, Big Sue.
Oh, okay. Listen, Big Sue riding high with that victory over Arthur MacArthur. Boar's gonna have his work cut out for him. I did see someone on social media say that they may have several burners that they're gonna put behind the Boar. Let's just hope Sue has as many burners as this person does.
I think that we should call this needs to be like a fair, down the middle, no burner tournament. But I've been accused of being conspiring and not being impartial. I think that everybody should just be fair with this, but we'll see.
Okay.
So next up, we have the selection from Final Wrestling Place, Mandy Rose. And Mandy Rose will be facing Rex Lawless.
Oh, 2 very top-heavy competitors, very much work on their pectoral regions. Do the boys at Final Wrestling Place cash in their chips early or late is the question. I know who I want to see move on in this round, but again, it depends on if it's going to be, as the events go on longer, less and less clothes are going to be worn by the competitors.
Yeah, that's see the Boar against either one of those two. If the Boar moves on, that's a baby oil's dream right there.
Yes.
But that's if the Boar makes it past Big Sue. We don't know. So, all right, next up, the selection of We Need Wrestling, Max the Impaler. Now, I searched high and low to find Max a physical equal on this bracket, and it was hard, but I think I found one. Max the Impaler will be facing CPA.
Oh, that is a match. Of what you've announced so far, that is the match that has the highest likelihood of being booked in real life.
You're telling me Mandy Rose and Rex Lawless doesn't have a chance?
No, not at all. This is truly a toss-up as far as I'm concerned. Could really go either way. Max does have the intimidation factor on their side, but CPA has an unpredictability about him, if you will, an intangible.
I wonder how many broken beer bottles it would take to get through the many, many layers of shirts CPA is wearing. All right, next up, we have, let me just see, Wrestling Cheers' selection of Isaiah Broner, The Problem. And, one can say Isaiah has a particular style of wrestling, a heavy hitter or bruiser. So this is going to be a little bit of a styles clash. Broner will be facing Cheeseburger.
Ooh. Again, likelihood of that match actually taking place, very high in the actual corporeal world that we live in. Again, I know we're familiar with Isaiah Broner from AIW, but I'm very familiar with Cheeseburger. Experience, speed, technique, style. It's quite the matchup.
Yeah, see, I'm a good booker here. Give me the pencil. All right,
let's not go crazy.
Next up, we have the selection from Hit My Music, and that is Jaden Newman. And Jaden will be facing Ziggy Haim.
Oh, that's a very, stylistically matched up contest. I like that quite a bit. Obviously, Ziggy does work a little bit more tag team, less one-on-one in a mixed setting. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how this one plays out.
All right. So the winner of that matchup will be facing the winner of this matchup. And that is Indie Wrestling Guide's selection of Derek Dillinger. And the surprise entrant from last week, Tay Mello, the face of women's wrestling.
The face?
The face.
So
Dillinger Tay.
You got two. So I'm looking at the brackets. I want to see Ziggy and Derek one-on-one in the next round, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're putting Tay Mello, current AEW superstar, in there against Derek. If you were putting Tay Conti, jobber clobber from AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, I might be singing a different tune, Jack. But I don't know. This one might be Derek's to lose, Yep.
All right. So next up, the selection from Pod Van Dam, Alabama Doink, will be facing Maserati Wes Barkley.
Oh, listen. There's two guys that have a lot in common. The only thing they don't have in common is one's alive and one's dead. Maserati, Alabama Doink, two men who are all about making money in this business. All about that wins. All about being married to the business. Alabama Doink, he's got the crowd support, but I tell you, Barkley Nation, I don't know. Depends on where this is held. If this is held anywhere in the greater Ohio area, or if this is held in the parking lot of a Golden Corral in Tennessee or something,
Yeah.
It's definitely going to rely a lot on fan support, this one.
Well, it's funny you mentioned fan support, because the winner of Alabama Doink versus Wes Barkley will be facing the winner of this next matchup. And Joe, go ahead and play the music.
I've been waiting.
That is Double J, Jeff Jarrett, Jeff, J-A-R-R-E-T-T. That's Double J, Jeff Jarrett. And Double J will be facing the final surprise entrant into the Gender Neutral Monarch tournament, Swoggle.
Jared's gonna have to break a ukulele over his head. Oh my god. Poor Dylan. 6 WrestleManias. Leprechaun Origins. Muppets Most Wanted. Throw it all out the window. And I'm doing the Jarrett taunt on the entranceway right now. Dylan, go back home. Be a dad with Landon. You ain't getting past old Slapnuts.
Yeah, I mean, again, I hope there's a good, clean poll for this, and I certainly hope that nobody shows that selection, like Jarrett Swoggle, in any kind of doll groups. You know, that's my number one concern, is that that somehow doesn't get there. But I sent you the final brackets. Friend of the show, Derek, did the graphics as he did last year. And he figured you would pop for the font at the top of the graphic, but hopefully you'll get it soon. There it is.
Ah, nice.
But again, just to recap, on the left side, The Boar versus Big Sue, Mandy Rose versus Rex Lawless, Max the Impaler versus CPA, Isaiah Browner versus Cheeseburger, Jaden Newman versus Ziggy Heim, Derek Dillinger versus Tay Mello, Alabama Doink versus Wes Barkley, and Jeff Jarrett versus Swoggle. So tomorrow, I'm sorry, I was just going to say tomorrow, as we record this, it is still Thursday, January 5th. Friday, January 6th at 5 p.m.
Ugh.
I will put these polls up, and they will run for 6 days. So voting will end next Thursday at 5 p.m.
Okay. Adam, I got two things to say.
All right.
One, I want to thank you for laying out the brackets in a way that we're very clearly going to get a Boar versus Double J finals. I was afraid that you were going to try to burn that match off in the opening rounds to make the Boar and all of his people vote against himself that early.
I don't know where this narrative comes that I screw the Boar. I am nothing but supportive of the Boar.
Right. And you talk about doll groups and you talk about all these other things. To paraphrase another great wrestler, Adam, you want to play 21? I got 22. You want to play blackjack? I got a couple of those too. You want to go and burn this off in the opening round? I say, you do you, partner.
All right. Again, I don't know why you think I have these agendas or that I'm like trying to pit like certain fans against other fans. I'm just making matchups that people want to see. That's all, and let the votes decide.
I can say this now that the brackets are done. This is recorded. This can't be changed. Yep. Granted, they're not a wrestler, but they're definitely in the wrestling business. The one person I was worried that you were going to throw that definitely wouldn't need all of your backstage machinations to take Double J out would have if you put Renee Paquette in there against Double J. Renee's someone who, when it comes to online polls or online anything, she don't lose, you know?
Yeah. And unlike Double J, Renee is actually a talented person who deserves the accolades.
Mm-hmm. You listen. You get your accolades one way, Double J will get his accolades another. Giant bags of cash.
See, this Jarrett Love, this is the same type of thing. Like, oh, yeah, he technically leaves all these companies, but he leaves with money, and he doesn't leave them any better than when he found them, but he gets paid. It's the same thing as like, oh, yeah, who cares that Trump doesn't pay his taxes? He's a savvy businessman. Oh, man, I'd like to have a beer with that guy. That's the same energy. That's what it sounds like to me.
So, first of all, I'd never say that about Double J. He's 5 years clean. I would like to have, like, maybe a nice soda with him. Go to the Peking Chef when he orders all the appetizers up front. You know what I mean? Secondly, savvy businessman is one thing. There's a difference between being a savvy businessman in the quote-unquote real world and being a savvy businessman in wrestling. How many people do you know in the world of wrestling? Like, look at Kevin's thing, Kevin's write-up on Ready to Rumble, right? The logistics of what was going on with Jimmy the King, that he's the world champion, and he's licensing deals, and all these other things, but he's dirt poor. He's piss out of luck. He's got no money, right?
Yeah.
But then, that's the fake like story version of what a professional wrestler is. How many Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, some of the biggest names in the world of professional wrestling, right? How many fortunes has Hulk Hogan gone through? How many fortunes has Ric Flair gone through, right? Mm-hmm. Jeff Jarrett probably has his original payday from Evansville, Indiana in 1988 in his back pocket. You know what I mean? There's a difference in making money in the world of professional wrestling, and there's a difference in keeping money in professional wrestling. A lot of people can do one and maybe the other. There's a select few that do both. You're talking Jarrett. You're talking Kevin Nash. And so far, he's still got a lot of years left ahead of him. You got Danhausen, right?
Mm.
That's an elite crew,
And you know what? Mick Foley never spent a dime too. So, and Mick Foley loves Christmas, and Swoggle was a Christmas elf. So, a vote against Jeff Jarrett is a vote for Mick Foley.
I think Mick Foley would tell you to vote for Double J. I'm just saying.
All right. So, anyways, we'll let the listeners decide. Starting tomorrow, 5 p.m. I'll tweet out the brackets. Just giving it a little bit of extra time because I know I want people to be hearing the matchups for the first time on the podcast as opposed to a tweet. So, hopefully people who listen to it, late tonight, early tomorrow, will get first cracks at it.
Yeah, and we're going up late. We had a late start. I had some internet issues, so this is probably going to go up about 1:30. So,
yeah. All right, cool.
Voicemail time.
All right.
We got a ton. Let's go.
Hey, Joe and Adam. This is Old Ronnie Two Legs, formerly of Pod Van Dam.
Ooh.
I'm just calling in. Just want to say thanks to everybody for listening and giving the show so much attention over all the years that we did it. Appreciate that. It was a good time. Shit, you can still hear me. I'm on another show. It's called The Card Is Going to Change, Absolute Intense Wrestling. You could find me there. I'm still doing some bullshit on the old podcast network per se. I heard, speaking of podcast network, I heard Ed's going to have his own show on this network, the soon-to-be-named network. So maybe we'll fuck around. Maybe I'll go on there. Maybe me and Ed will, mix it up. You never fucking know what'll happen. I wanted to let Adam know that if he wanted to get a mark picture with Nick Swisher, he should just go to whatever shitbag insurance company that he's probably fucking working for because he's fucking terrible and probably selling insurance right now because he's an absolute washed fucking bum. But enough about Nick Swisher, that fucking bum. You just go down to any insurance agency. You probably get your mark picture with him there. But yeah, just like I said, wanted to call in. Thanks to everybody for listening and showing the show so much support. So, that's all I really have to say. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. See you later.
All right. First of all, I obviously have to address this. Love you, Ronald Two Legs. Love you on The Card Is Going to Change, and look forward to hearing you on the soon-to-be-named network with that. But as far as Nick Swisher goes, I made no claims that he did not rob the Cleveland sports franchise of lots and lots and lots of money. If anything, he's kind of like Major League Baseball's Jeff Jarrett. He got his bag. Is what happened there. And he is currently a special advisor to the Yankees, a successful podcaster, and a brand ambassador for multiple companies. So he's not selling insurance. But if he did, I'd buy insurance from him.
Unrelated. The insurance professional's taking a shot there from old Ronald Two Legs.
No, like what kind of a low down scumbag sells or even works in the insurance company, man?
Yeah, I know. Sales I could see being a low level thing. Claims, that's dregs of society as well. But
sales management is a much more prestigious thing, though.
It's the service people that really keep those things moving. But anyway, Pat called in again.
Oh.
Hey, guys. It's Pat again. Meet Ronald again, I should say. I was just thinking about, I forgot to mention, I was thinking about that time. Remember that time we did a podcast in, like, Pennsylvania somewhere? I think it was in the Lehigh Valley. We got all hammered drunk. Well, I was drunk. And we did that podcast at the hotel that time. We should do that again. Maybe we meet like halfway or something. As much as I love coming to the Lehigh Valley, maybe we meet in the middle, like Pennsylvania or somewhere like Pittsburgh, PA. That's like halfway between us and you, right? Let's go to Pittsburgh. We'll go out, hang out, and then we'll go record a podcast. Maybe it'll go better than the last time. I don't know. At least more listenable. I don't know. But, we got to get together again. I missed you guys. So, all right. That was it. Bye.
Well, one of these days we're going to come back out for an AIW show when they book Double J after he wins the AEW tag titles. And that was my other pitch, was going to be, obviously Artie and Chuck would have you as their third. Bitcoin Boys would have you as their third. But members only, Double J is an honorary member of members only. So you get like a triangle triple threat feud there, you know?
Ooh, I would, you know what, as much as I hate to say it, I would take a guitar shot just for the story.
Yeah, you got to supply your own guitar. Trust me on that one.
That's fine.
All right, so Pat called in one more time.
Oh, yeah, baby. Call number 3. Just got my mail, and I'm back in the good graces, baby. That's right. I got my New Year's card. Thank you, Sposto family. Appreciate it. Tell them, Melly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, buddy. Anything else you want to say to the show, to the boys, and anybody else out there listening?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. That's what you want to say. What's your other favorite one? What else do you like to say? What did you do in the car on the way over here? What did it smell like?
Fart.
Fart. That's a good one. All right. Tell them, thank you, guys. Happy New Year. Tell them, smell you later, Ellie.
Smell you later, Ellie.
Bye.
That's awesome. I also got my Christmas card this week from you, Joe, so thank you.
Yes, New Year's card. Yeah, like I said,
New
we
Year's.
got them out a little bit late, kind of slapdash together. Last year was even more slapdash together, where, like, I sent it to, like, Ed's old address.
Yeah.
And I sent it. I had to look up to to Pat and Jonas's workplaces,
Okay.
and Pat got the one I sent to his workplace, and I don't think Jonah ever got the one that I sent to his workplace. So this year I was just like, I'm just asking everyone for their actual addresses. Fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, no need to be coy. But you mentioned suggesting that Double J join members only.
He's already an honorary member. Join.
Exactly. So, it's been said in the past, and you make no secrets, you may have the ear of John Thorne, when it comes to certain things with AIW. Might I make a suggestion for AIW, like a future show?
Okay, I'm listening.
And this was an idea that was poo-pooed by a certain other indie promotion in our area. I guess they'd rather just book Veda Scott, but suggest that if AIW really wants to have a sellout, Sky Blue. So that just write those 2 words down, and I might even make the trip out to Ohio again.
Well, Sky Blue is and has been a regular at Black Label Pro, which is a little like, more toward the Chicagoland area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if and when I see Black Label and AIW have dates that are like the same weekend, and I see that Sky Blue is booked, I'll absolutely put the bug in John Thorne's ear. Between me and you, John Thorne ain't booking Sky Blue solo. If she's in the area for the weekend, it might be an easier sell.
All right, that's fine. Again, if she needs a driver, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to send a student. I'll take care of it. But,
she'll need a restraining order. And hey, thanks to Pat for listening. Thanks to Pat for calling in. So Pat has no real social media, but if you're a card break person,
yeah, absolutely.
Pat has a Facebook thing for it. He does those kind of, somewhat regularly and kind of somewhat successfully. I'll just say, if you know, right?
Yeah, I've actually gotten several messages during this podcast about a rip that they're doing right now. Franklin Football Card Group.
Yeah. So. I didn't know the name of it. I know, like, I'm in there, but I'm not a card break guy. But anything that I could do to support my friends,
Absolutely. And I like, honestly, I pop in just to watch some of the rips sometimes. It's a good time.
For sure. Next call.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Kevin Ford. I want to give some praise to Adam because I absolutely adore this week's homework pick. Ready to Rumble is a guilty pleasure of mine, although I feel absolutely no guilt about it. I know it's bad. I still love it anyways. I watched it a ton as a kid and had a lot of fun with it. I got to bond with friends later over it. It's something we still quote pretty incessantly. But one memory I had that kind of triggered a question was that I remember getting it as part of this, like, you go to Blockbuster and they have old rentals that they would have, like they call it, like I think recently viewed, that you could buy the movie at a deep discount. And I'm pretty sure that's how I got Ready to Rumble. And then I remember when my Blockbuster went out of business, I was able to go back and scoop up some of the wrestling tapes that were left behind. I definitely wasn't the first one there, but I was able to get like a couple odds and ends from like WCW. Like I know for sure I got Starrcade 93. I got Royal Rumble 93, and I want to say I got Super Brawl 96. It's whatever pay-per-view has Diamond Dallas Page winning the ring, whatever they call it, the Diamond Ring. I don't remember if that's AEW exactly or WCW, but either way, that one. So I am curious if either of you have stories about your Blockbusters, Hollywood videos, local video stores, whatever, going out of business and cleaning house on tapes at that time. I think that's something a lot of us wrestling fans did, or just people who love movies, like I know Joe did back in the day. So curious to see if you have any stories like that. Thanks a lot, and you crushed my Butterfinger, baby.
I thank you for the call, Kevin, and to be reminded, I saw Ready to Rumble when I was a kid, says Kevin. I'm old, everybody. A kid.
Yeah, I mean, I was 17. No, when did it come out? 2000. Oh, that was 20. All right, that's easy math. I don't remember buying any like DVDs or whatever from stores going out of business, but I remember there being, and I don't know what the website was, but this is back when your average wrestling DVD was like maybe $30 if you were lucky.
Yeah.
I found some website that had a bunch of WWE DVDs on clearance, and they had to be like $5 or $6 a piece, brand new. So I bought, I don't want to say everyone, but like I bought pretty much everything from the Alliance era, like from like every, because they didn't have every single DVD ever made, but they had big chunks of like the WCW invasion, the famous, what was it called? The pay-per-view that had Vince and Shane's faces on it.
Invasion.
Like I had that one. Like I had pretty much every pay-per-view for like a 2-year span in that era, and a lot of them ended up like going up in value pretty high because like they just didn't reprint them, and there wasn't a lot of stuff on those DVDs that were making it into the compilation DVDs down the road. So I ended up selling them all, and I'm glad I did, because then once the network came out, the bottom dropped on all those things. When jokes on them, because it's like physical media is the way to go. But yeah, that's the only way I got like a lot of cheap DVDs.
I never got the VHSs when my video stores were going out of business, just because whatever the selection was pretty picked over by the staff by the time I got there. I will say our neck of the woods, when the Suncoast Video at the Steamtown Mall went out of business, I did clear out a bunch of their trauma movies and horror movies and stuff like that. Like they were selling stuff for like 99 cents just to get it out of there, stuff that was on their shelves when it got released and never moved. But that was my only going out of business DVD sale that I was able to take part in. No wrestling stuff, sadly.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been able to successfully take advantage of a store liquidating. Like, I'm always there way too early when it's like, oh, everything's 10% off, or when they're selling the fixtures and everything's gone.
Yeah.
Never anything in between.
I know when the Kmart by me went out of business. They didn't officially go out of business, but I went there because we would go there looking for Pokemon cards all the time, me and my kid. And I went to where the Pokemon cards were, and they were gone. And I go, hey, where'd you guys move the Pokemon cards to? And they're like, oh, we sent them all back to the manufacturer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was like 6 months before they even announced that the Kmart was closing. And like, I know that's the telltale sign when they start getting rid of the collectible cards, like not just Pokemon, but baseball cards or anything else like that, and sending them off to the manufacturer or whatever it is. That's when you know a store is going out of business.
Yeah, when they're basically getting credit for the stuff that they can get refunds on, you know?
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Thanks again, Kevin. Next call.
Hey, Joe and Adam, what's happening? It's your buddy Kenny. Hope all is well. Hope you were both enjoying a Happy New Year. Man, where to even start? Like, the old saying, like, we picked a bad week to stop sniffing glue. Like, Todd Van Dam picked a bad week to quit doing a podcast with, like, Phil Baroni and, like, Mandy Rose's beep hole and, like, I don't know, all kinds of Wrestling Kingdom in Japan, and I'm sure you guys extensively covered with Adam's thorough rundown of not only Wrestle Kingdom and New Year's Dash with all that hype shit that happened there. It's pretty incredible. So, anyway, that's my deal. I think I might have to just start calling into this voicemail like how Joe used to call into Pod Van Dam, because I had all kinds of good shit, pal, and I fucking just forgot it. So I'm just going to start calling in and leaving them, and that's the way it goes. Get wrecked, bots.
Kenny reminded me, I just went to the Twitter account that I don't follow, but I have saved in my saves, if you know what I'm saying, and just making sure I'm up to date on Mandy content, and there's new stuff. All right. Interesting.
Gotcha.
All right.
So, yeah, are you aware of the Phil Baroni thing?
He did a murder.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's all. I didn't do a deep dive because part of me was like, well, if I'm not going to learn about it on Pod Van Dam, I don't need to know about it. You know?
If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to the episode where Dom was on and talks about his story with Phil Baroni.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'll realize that what happened just this week in Mexico with Phil Baroni, again, don't want to make too light of it, but, you know, we should have all seen this comment, you know?
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, but Kenny does call right back.
Oh.
We're on like 3 different people that call multiple times, and I'm all for it.
Hey, guys, Kenny, sorry, forgot. And to top it all off, your boy Double J hustled himself into a belt like 3 weeks into working for a new company. Oh, yeah, brother, strap me up. It'll be great heat. Double J can't stop winning. What a week. Crazy. Take care.
Well, he didn't hustle himself into a belt. He got to hold it briefly, if that counts. I mean,
twice.
I mean, I've legitimately held the AIW tag belt just as many times as Jared has held that belt, so I guess it's just as valid.
See how Friday night looks.
Well, again, you could make a decision that'll ruin a company and one that'll save a company, and Jared ain't saving that. But
you know, just before you're like, oh, wouldn't it have been great if Scott Kahn and Oliver Platt were the WCW Tag Team Champions? Non-wrestlers who have nothing to do with the business, but God forbid someone who is given 37 years of his life, blood, sweat, and tears to professional wrestling to get a token AEW tag title shot. He's not beating Orange Cassidy. He's not beating Eddie Kingston. He's not beating Samoan Joe, right? He's beating the tag team.
All right, I said that a tag title reign would have been better than Arquette winning the world title. That's all I said.
And a tag title reign would be a road for Jarrett to beat MJF for the world title. I agree.
Oh, make it stop.
Next call.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Adam. It's the other JP here. So, I hope y'all had a good New Year's. And so far the first few days of the new year have been going well for you, or at least not altogether terrible. Alrighty. So, I'm a little bit of a relatively younger guy and came to wrestling a little bit later than most people do. I didn't grow up with it. I kind of came into it a little bit later. That's your typical path. But I've been going back and watching wrestlers that, you know, either aren't active anymore, you know, had only a little bit of a short run, whatnot. Anyways, my spring semester's coming up. So the question I propose to you is if there were, say, 3 or however many wrestlers figures in wrestling that you'd put on like a syllabus of people to look out for, watch, study, for any purpose, who would they be? Obviously, with it being a syllabus, you can do what you want, have, you know, your heavy hitters in there, your all out and out classics, or you can have some more deep cuts that provide an interesting look as to the history of professional wrestling. Alrighty, you all have a good day.
I'm going to let you go first on this, Joe.
Okay. Thank you again for the call. Other JB, your connection sounded great this week. Makes me very happy.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm giving you a syllabus of stuff to watch, okay, I'm Johnny Wrestling Teacher 101, okay?
Yeah, and are you thinking like the work of a wrestler or a specific match? Like, but his questions, you know, like, are we saying I'm assigning, just going to use an example, Hulk Hogan, or are you saying I'm assigning Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3? Like, what do you think the spirit of the question is?
So what I think the spirit of the question is a specific era of a wrestler, okay, or like a storyline or an angle or something, right? Like to say watch Hulk Hogan, like, okay, that's like the widest net that you possibly can. But if you say watch Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3, well, you got like 2 months of TV building that up that you should watch, you know, to kind of like really, you know, give the seasoning to the steak that match is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to ask me, and I'm going to assign you 3 things, okay? I'm going to assign you the 1989 Terry Funk Ric Flair NWA rivalry, okay? Starts in about April of 89 and goes to November of 89. It's 3 pay-per-view matches, a couple TV angles, and tons of promos, right?
Mm.
I'm going to have you watch Mick Foley, Cactus Jack heel turn in ECW. So we're talking August of 95 to February of 96. Less the matches, but more so the masterclass and promos, right?
Yep.
You know, because obviously I could tell you to watch the greatest matches in the world, but if you're just watching the greatest match in the world in a vacuum, you know, there's no context. There's no reason why you should care, you know? And I'll give you one more, and I will say that it should just be 1994, summer into fall, Dusty and Dustin Rhodes against Colonel Robert Parker. There's a lot of goofy characters involved in this, your Bunkhouse Bucks, your Nasty Boys, your people like that. And the onus of this program is on Dusty Rhodes cutting promos. And, you know, Dusty was maybe washed by like the time 1986, 87 rolls around. He's still wrestling in 1991. And by 1994, he even says in his promos, he's a broken down old man. So people forget that, you know, there was still good stuff happening in 1994 WCW. Everyone thinks once Hogan came in until the NWO would kind of hit the shits, and it did. But go back, revisit some of that stuff. That's what I'm assigning to you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I can't compete with Joe with the specificity of like certain eras, and I always draw these blanks, and I'll just say like, you can pick any era of Eddie Kingston that I've watched, and probably many that I haven't, and just say watch this stuff, whether it be the in-ring stuff or the promos. You know, well, I could say the same thing about Orange Cassidy, but if you want me to get really specific on like a build up to a match or like a certain run, obviously I'd have to point to the most recent tag matches that have led to the TBS title opportunity of Sky Blue. So go check that out.
Oh, boy. Never change, Adam. Never change.
Thanks, other JB.
All right, next call.
Hello, gentlemen. Kevin here, fresh off of writing a very long homework assignment for you guys. So I've been holding off on this question for a couple of weeks because we've had other things to discuss. So I was watching the Iron Survivor Challenge, which was very interesting. And I think the more and more people that do it, the more it will expand and it will become a very fun match. It's January, so I, like lots of people, am rewatching old Rumbles. I really enjoyed the double dog collar match from ROH there a couple weeks ago. And I'm trying to think of like a new gimmick match. And I'm wondering if either of you guys have ever thought of a gimmick match. And don't worry about like if it's actually feasible, if it could actually happen. But just, hey, physics and everything out the window. Here's the thing I think would be cool. So my suggestion is a 2 out of 3 falls dog collar match, double dog collar match. Now just follow me here. Person A is attached to person A from the other team, person B. After the first fall, it's A, B. And then for the third fall, you're attached to your own partner, which allows you to do certain double team maneuvers with the chain to your opponent. I don't know if it's actually feasible or logical, but it's just an idea I had. So, crazy gimmick idea that you haven't seen before that's been in your head. Talk to you guys later. Boy, I can't wait to see what the next homework is. Declan says hello.
Hello.
Bye.
A lot of kid run-ins this week.
I know. Man, what's with everybody trying to make me think on the spot? Don't they realize I need like a week's preparation for anything that comes out of my mouth?
Yeah, try to think and nothing happens. I'm with you. But they did do a tag team double dog collar match, 2 out of 3 falls in ECW, arguably the greatest ECW match of all time, September of 1995. So I feel as though like every gimmick match has been done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my ideas are like old stuff that they don't do anymore. Like the closest that they would come is, you know, every year in TNA they do the Thanksgiving match and the loser has to wear the turkey suit.
Yeah.
So there used to be more humiliation gimmicks like that, and like they were the dumbest things, like loser of the match has to go down Main Street riding on a donkey, or
the weasel suit, you know?
Yeah, weasel suit stuff. Like I'm all for about doing something in the match where it's like something the heel doesn't want to do, right? And then the heel's like, oh, well, if I win, then the babyface is going to have to do the thing that I don't want to do. So that's going to inspire the heel even more. And then what you always do is the heel wins, but then the babyface like turns the tables on the heel, and the heel ends up doing the embarrassing thing anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this day and age, if you had to do something like that, it would be loser of the match has to do like an embarrassing TikTok.
Isn't that the Catanzaro and Catanzaro's friends gimmick?
I think that was like 6 gimmicks ago.
Okay.
But yeah, it would have to be something like that fits into the digital media, or like you have to go and do like some sort of like YouTube stunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Like, again, I'm not up on what the YouTube stunts or the TikTok challenges are, but it would be the loser of the match has to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of it. Kevin mentioned that it could be like anything and to put physics to the side. You used to watch American Gladiators, right?
I
Back
did.
in the day. So when I had a Fig Fed, I copied a lot of the American Gladiators things, and there was like one thing where they had like bungee cords attached to them, and they had to kind of like drop down and get a ball out of like a bin and then jump back up, and like I forget if they had to put it in a basket or something like that. And it was a lot of bouncing from one level to another with a bungee cord. But I did that with my Hasbros. And like I don't know, I think they just jumped down, they fought, and then they snapped back up. So something like that, and then I don't know, throw Sky Blue in there and it books itself.
They actually, Global in 91 did a bungee match.
Oh, really?
They certainly
stole my
did.
Fucking idea.
Yeah.
Actually, if it was 91, I probably saw it on there and thought of it, but I don't know.
Right. But thanks for the call, Kevin. Next call.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Adam. It's Justin Summers. And I see you guys have not voted yet in the Wrestling Cheers End of the Year Awards. So I would like to know who you guys are voting for in each category. And while we're at it, how about some predictions for 2023? Like, who will win Gauntlet for the Gold 16? Who will win the 2023 J-Lit? Who will win the 2023 Bill Alfonso Hardcore Tournament? And who will be signed to a contract by the end of 2023? Is that short enough for you? Later.
Well, I already named it was Sky Blue for the first two.
Right.
Bill Alfonso Hardcore Invitational. I don't know. I think Dillinger might get it this year. You know what? No, I take it back. Ziggy's getting it. Fuck that. Ziggy's getting it. And who will get signed? Bishop? I guess Bishop. Bishop's the guy who screams he should be on TV. I mean, when you look at him, he's like, this guy should be on TV. So I'm going to go Bishop.
Yeah. So Bishop should win or should get a contract.
Yeah.
Wes is going to win Gauntlet for the Gold. Let's say Dom wins J-Lit this year.
Oh, Dom ain't getting past Sky Blue, but all right, whatever.
Okay. And then I'll say this. I would have Kaplan win the Bill Alfonso Hardcore title thing again.
Have him do it's like his Dynamite Diamond Ring type deal?
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought I was going to mix it up, but fair enough. Just because like last year it was Dillinger versus Kaplan in the finals, and I was like, oh, let's have Dillinger win it this time. And I'm like, oh, no, let's mix it up and throw Ziggy. But I see logic in that, have him continue to come out with the belt.
And looking at the, and you're going to make me vote on the thing here on the show for the Wrestling Cheers. So I'm saying Calling All Skeletons was the show of the year. I'm saying Eddie was the guest of the year. I'm saying Nightmare Freddy versus Mantis was the match of the year. And Swamp Man is debut of the year. Moment of the year is Britt making the surprise thing at that match. And then group and team of the year, huh? Bulking season, okay. And then JB is wrestler of the year. How about that?
I mean, moment of the year, I mean, no disrespect to Britt, but I mean, bulking season and winning the tag titles, because, I mean, I was there. I'm in the picture celebrating. But, anyways. You happy, Justin? We voted.
All right. I got bit on the Stink Sheets vote. I got like some sort of weird like pop-up ads on my thing that I had to like run a program to get rid of. I'm always leery of voting on shit like that,
Yeah.
But hey, it's a way to keep people honest. You can only vote once, right? Maybe you should do that for your gender neutral monarch.
Well, I'm only voting once.
Okay. Wink. Next call.
Hey guys, it's DeWicky. With the news that came out today that Vince McMahon is trying to get himself back in the WWE, and that he is not willing to allow a sale to go through unless he's made part of the board or whatever all of these conditions are that he has. I'm curious. I know, we all know that Joe has a talent for holding grudges. See David Carradine, Joe won. And we know that Adam is really good at swearing at grandmothers and babies. But I'm curious if either one of you has ever held a grudge to the point where it was detrimental to yourself. I'll hang up and listen, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
I feel like this is all you, Joe. Like you're the grudge holder in charge.
Detrimental to me? I would say my grudge against the Young Bucks may have cost me at least one or two friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Potential bookings too,
Allegedly.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I just have so many like beefs across the board that it's hard to tell which ones are causing me problems. So I just assume that like it's all on me. I don't know. I don't know. I legitimately don't think I have any long-term grudges. I don't let it get to me as much as some people.
Yeah, like I said, usually I say it all the time. You wrong me, I'll somehow get over it. You wrong friends or family, I'll hold that till the day I die, or you die.
Yeah, but all right, cool.
Thank you for your call, David. It's pink button time. It's Young Ed.
Hey, Adam. This is just for Adam. This is Ed. I just woke up. It was like 10 a.m. Been up for a little bit, right? I slept for like 14 hours. None of this is important. I'm just bragging. I think Tay Conti's going to be at Toy Hio. I think I saw that. But like I said, I slept for a long time, and I'm, still tired. So I'm gonna sleep more. But yeah, I think this isn't my real call. Okay, bye. I think Tay Conti's gonna be there. Okay, bye.
I saw the bunny was announced, and I know there's some mystery folks yet to be named. This could change everything, Joe. This could be my next trip out to Ohio. I assume, it certainly won't be the Odeon, but I assume AIW will be running the night before. I need details on whether or not this is true, because if that is the case, that might be a thing. So, talk to me.
I don't know if it looks like there's mystery people announced, just yet, right?
Yeah.
I see Ethan Page, I see the Bunny, I see Cabana, I see Danhausen, I see Mrs. Danhausen, and I see Space Monkey.
So either one of two things has happened. Either Ed has confused the Bunny with Tay Conti, which is entirely possible.
Entirely.
Or Ed knows something that we don't know, which is also possible. Ed works at Toyhaya. Ed hears things. He's got his finger on the pulse. Let me know, again, more on this story as it develops.
And that is February 11th. And that same day, AIW is running a show at a bowling alley.
Where at?
Youngstown, Ohio.
I think that's where Toyhaya is. So
there you go.
Perfect. Interesting. All right.
Start making your plans now. You got 5 weeks. Next call.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. That new fucking Dynamite set sucks. This shit sucks. Everything in wrestling on TV fucking sucks. All just screens. All of their entranceways are just fucking screens now, and it's fucking boring and stupid. I fucking hate it. Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, WWE, all of this shit is just screens. Whatever happened to building the fucking thing? You know what I mean? Like, remember the backlash hooks? That shit rules. Or the fucking old Raw stuff. Like, it's just fucking screen and these sturdy fucking metal, it's just metal and screen. And then fucking, even that shitty Survivor Series one was like a hexagon. They build a fucking thing. Jesus fucking Christ. Wrestling's fucking stupid on TV. This shit sucks. It's all fucking boring. Shit's boring. What a boring fucking set. Good Lord. What are they fucking doing? This shit's so fucking stupid. I'm so mad. Why is it just screens? Why is everything just fucking screens? Ugh, it used to be better, you know what I mean? Hey, bye.
I miss the SmackDown Fist. I think that's the best. Thunder had some weird ones where it was like fucking caves and shit, but the SmackDown Fist is legendary.
So does Monday Night Raw and SmackDown still do like the big CGI things? I think they still do it for Roman. But like remember they would do like the weird like lips and the hair whip for Bianca Belair and the big time Becks for Becky Lynch and all that stuff. Do they still do that?
I don't know if they do it as much as they did. I know for a fact it still exists because like you said, I make it a point to watch the Roman Reigns stuff, so I see it there, you know?
Right. I think Ed would hate that if he ever saw that, right?
Yeah.
But I think because a lot of times they'll film, at least AEW, because they film Dynamite and Rampage together, in the idea of the SmackDown Fist, they should do like a giant thing of Dynamite where like the plunger comes down, and then like that's how the pyro goes off, and then that's how the show starts, you know?
That's an idea. As far as the change, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm not as fired up as that is. I understand that like TV needs to be shiny. I was glad that they kept the heel and babyface entrances. I wish it was more. I wish it was less of them just walking out from behind a screen and more of there still being a visible tunnel, though. You know?
Yeah.
But
I like the tunnels. I miss the tunnels. But if they didn't hype up the new set and the new entranceway and the new everything, I don't think people would have cared. If they just debuted it, I think people would have been happy with it, you know?
Yeah, I think they can bring back the tunnels but keep all the screens. I think that's my compromise.
There you go. And the big giant dynamite thing that sets off the pyro to start the show.
Yeah, and keep the Cody elevator in the middle.
Yeah.
Basically, just bring back the old set.
Oh, shit. You know what? AEW needs to do a match where winner gets the Cody elevator.
Oh, see, I always thought that once Cody left, they should have just had the world champ come up that.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. All right, maybe Ed's final call won't be as angry and curse-filled.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Ed again. Real quick. Joe, you liked this tweet, so I just need to know, because I think we have a similar sense of humor. Was our Bud Dwyer good, or should I have gone with the Randy Stair picture? I'm not explaining anything past this. You know what I mean. And just in case you don't know what I mean, Joe, and you just like that tweet, but you're not aware of Randy Stair or the joke, I guess I'll ask what everyone's favorite Italian dish is. I like lasagna. Okay, bye.
I already made my thoughts about that tweet earlier when I said that I'd like to see it happen, but go ahead.
I don't know Randy Stair, but when I searched his name on Google, the first hit that came up was on a site called Internet Villains. So I can only imagine what sort of person he is. I think our Bud Dwyer is timeless, you know? I think people see that picture, and youngs and olds like myself instantly know who that is. You put up the picture of Randy, and that could be any sort of, like, wafy, like, weird anime kid, you know?
Yeah. Plus, Ed earned himself a trip to Taco Bell today, so good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea. 350 likes, he gets to treat himself to Taco Bell.
Yeah. I might do it for, like, 35 likes.
Oh, okay.
Something more reasonable for me. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. Yes. Hey, we're going to run. Oh, so you know what? Real quick. Any purchases this week? Anything you get rid of on weekly purchases?
Nope, nothing for me.
All right. We're going to go quick. I got rid of a picture of Gary Delabate, a.k.a. Baba Booey, from the I Miss You phone call that I tweeted at Ian Riccaboni. The picture of Paul Heyman sitting by himself at a pizza parlor, apparently wearing a Snuggie and eating an entire pizza by himself. The picture of Uncle Howdy mask, all like somebody like snapped a flash photography thing of it, so you got to see what it really looked like, because they did a real good job on TV of trying to hide what it actually looked like, and it really looks like shit. 2 tweets that I sent to Dane Cook to see if we could find where a sitcom that he did in the mid-2000s about him being a shock jock that never made air, if it exists out there anywhere, and he actually replied to me. Twitter Spaces?
Yeah.
There was one that was going on last night after Dynamite, and I had to take a picture of it to show someone all the losers that were in the Twitter space. So those are my weekly purchases. I took those pictures. Now I can delete them all off my phone since I talked about it on the show.
You live an exhausting life, sir.
I got to do something.
Yeah.
So, hey, Internet Wrestling, Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, aka IWTV. I'm not the only one having internet issues. Apparently, they were having issues getting Wrestle Open out, adding a lot more stuff to the back catalog. Type in the name of your favorite independent wrestler and watch some old stuff for them. Use the promo code @odds. New subscribers lets Jerry know that you came to him from us, and we get a little bit of a kickback for that. TeePublic sales pick up next week, so if you're going to buy something, wait until then. But a place that's always open that you could buy something from that we get a little bit of a kickback from is Amazon. Make any and all of your Amazon purchases through our Amazon affiliate link. It is in the show notes to every single one of these episodes. Does not cost you anything extra. Amazon calls it an advertising fee. I call it the thing that makes Adam happy at the end of the month when he gets his cut of the fucking money.
Yeah.
Notable purchases through the Amazon click-through this past week include Wise Life 2-pack laundry hamper.
Oh.
Speedy Pros beanie for men, embroidered with the slogan "Aliens Stay Weird" on them.
All right.
Okay. Moshi Digits Winter Touch Screen gloves.
Now you need gloves to touch the screen.
That's right. Dragon Shield matte mini Japanese black 60 count card sleeves. I guarantee that's for someone's either Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Ohs.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Somebody purchased Lebowski cosplay costume, the dude sweater pajama pants for men, fancy Halloween pajamas.
Getting a jump on it 9 months early. I like
That's
it.
right. That's where you get all the sales. And somebody also purchased Dress Tech breast form adhesive, long-lasting medical grade. It's a spray that you put on your boobs so your clothes stick to you.
All right. Cool. I thought they just used tape. I didn't know there was a spray.
Well, that's the thing. There used to be a double-sided adhesive tape that you would use, but now there's a spray. That's fantastic.
I mean, thank God for science, I'll tell you.
Well, thank you, everyone who made purchases this week, this month, this year, this whenever. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. And I guess I'll talk about the fact that there's some podcasts you should listen to. And those podcasts are, as I scroll down, Longbox Heroes After Dark, Final Wrestling Place, We Need Wrestling, Porch Talk, Viewer's Choice, WWE War, Wrestling Cheers, Indie Wrestling Guide, Pod Van Dam, I'm keeping it in there for now, Wings on Wings, Between the Sheets, which you are going to be a guest on very shortly, Hit My Music, and If You Catch My Grift.
I already my episode was recorded. I feel bad because Chris and David had been on a 2-week streak of shows that were under 4 hours, and just my part is close to 5. I will say secretly, just the way that the week, like they ended up doing like a weird week. It was 8 days or whatever it was. So like included like one more episode of ECW TV because they went by the Sports Channel Philadelphia airing, whatever. So I get to talk about Mr. Hitman. I get to say bad things about Shawn Michaels. I get to talk about Double J. I get to say bad things about Triple H. I get to say bad things about Jim Cornette, and I get to talk about the ECW debut of Raven.
I'm not going to lie, you lost me at the beginning, but you got me back towards the end there.
For sure. So the episode drops Monday. I'll be sure to boost it, send it out, social media, the whole thing. I had a good time. I hope Chris and David had a good time, and I hope I come back sooner than a year and a half this time.
Yep. And next up, I'm sure Ed is due for a return.
Ed is due for a return. You know what? I'm going to say it on here just as a reminder for myself. This is kind of my way of asking him and doing so publicly. So recently, the great Joe Gagne, 5-Star Match Game, did his like year-end recap show, right? And there's no way I would have known any of this stuff because they do a lot of Japanese stuff, right?
I should have done Phone a Friend and I would have helped you out.
Right. So, he put out, here's what the schedule is so far for 2023, okay? Nitro, Super Brawl, Ruthless Aggression Era, 2000s Japan, and Mr. Hitman.
Oh.
Now, I know someone who loves Mr. Hitman more than anyone.
I also know that person.
So when they listen to the show, this is them to tell me if they want me to reach out to Joe Gagne to put in the word to get them on the 5-Star Match Game episode about Mr. Hitman.
I like the way you're thinking there. Once again, you're machinating behind the scenes. You're like the invisible hand of podcasting.
I try.
But, all right, cool.
We only got one more thing to talk about.
Oh, hell yeah. Some might cost a little. Some might cost a lot. But I'm the $100 Vansky. And your figures will be bought. I popped again on that jingle. I like it.
So listen, I know you had a big week. You had adventures. You went out. You were traveling. You left the state. Let me get my shit out of the way real quick.
All right.
All right. So Monday, I was off super secret science work. So I used that time to finish, or at least attempt to finish hanging all of the figures on the wall in my room, in my office, right?
Okay.
I got the Playmates Dick Tracy figure from Todd for Christmas. And earlier this year, or at the end of 2022, I got the Bagman Spider-Man Marvel Legends figure, right?
Yep.
I did not have Fig Defenders that fit those, so I had to get Fig Defenders that fit those. And the command hooks that I try to use the heavy duty ones. They're sold in packs of 14 hooks with 30 like adhesible sticker things, and I ran out, so I had to go get more to hang up the rest of my figures.
So where are the photos of this beautiful display?
It's not done yet. The new Fig Defenders just came in today.
Okay.
And I was super busy, and I've been dealing with all the shit that's been going on with my internet. I didn't have time to finish.
I gotcha. Well, you know what? That'll have to be something that when we release it on the Ad Odds YouTube, we'll do tours of our toy rooms.
Here, I'll take a picture of how it looks right now.
All right, I'll get that shortly. But is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So I'll just say, despite the fact that some people allege that I am out of the Major Bendy's game, again, I never said that screenshots can be manipulated. So I did pre-order the New Year's Evil Danhausen, which is just basically the Danhausen with like the bloody face. And I'm looking at your picture right now. Let me just say here, we got Eddie Kingston, Chainsaw Charlie, Mick, some Brodies. I actually need that Brody. Orange Cassidy, a lot of Sasha Banks figures.
What?
No, that's all right. Pretty cool. I expect that wall to be completely filled by the end of the year, sir. But anyway, so I pre-ordered the New Year's Evil Danhausen, and I realized that I was losing track of what Major Bendy's I had, so I took like a picture of, like I laid them all out on the floor and I took a picture. And I was like, you know what I kind of need, because it fits my rules, is I need the Cosmic Danhausen that they put up for like a 2-week pre-order earlier in the year. So I just found a deal on one in the group. So I don't have every Danhausen, but I have all the exclusives or the shop, like the limited ones or shop exclusives, and I'm happy there. Make sense?
I know you're not a signed guy, but of course Danhausen's going to be at Toy Hio this year. I'm sure he's going to have some sort of exclusive swag. I'm sure they're going to have something, Yeah.
Well, one of the Bendies I have, the only way to get it was to get it signed. So I have a Bendy signed by him, and I already have a Micro Brawler that I got, as I mentioned months ago, that it was signed and I got it for less than it went for unsigned, if that makes sense. But
it does.
Yeah, so no need for any more Mr. Daniel Housen autographs, but I do a Mark pick. So anyways, on to like the actual story. Every year my mom takes a cruise. She loves going on cruises. I see no benefit in them, but it's just not for me. So this time she was leaving from a port in New Jersey. So I had the unfortunate task of having to drive to New Jersey. So the only good thing about New Jersey is, number one, you're allowed to leave. But number two, you are within relatively close proximity to friend of the show, Jay Gold. So I hit him up a few days beforehand and said, hey, I'm going to be about an hour from you. What are you doing? And he was available. So I hit up Jay Gold and we went to Time Warp Toys, which is actually a place that we didn't go during my last visit, but it's a place that is like showcased in a lot of Ethan Page toy blogs. I'm aware. Yes. Yeah. So I'd never been there, but I basically said to myself, I'm going to go, but I'm not making any impulse purchases. I am only going to buy something if it's something that I was already looking for. Something that's already on my eBay save searches or that I wanted or whatever. Follow me so far, right?
Yes.
All right. So beforehand, I just want to say I went to Jay Gold's house, and he likes to show off the toy room, and it's twice as big as it was last time I was there. So he's he's expanding his toys. I like to see that. And I will say that when I was looking through his toy room, he had this one John Constantine DC Direct figure based on the Matt Ryan Constantine, from Legends and Arrow and all that stuff. And I said to him, I was like, oh, man, I've been looking for that. That's actually a really cool figure. And I was like, let me know if you see that at Time Warp, because it's a big store and we're going to kind of split up and whatever. So get to Time Warp Toys, looking around. I actually find the DC section, and there's a lot of figures from that line, and the Constantine wasn't there. So Jay Gold was just basically like, you know what? The Constantine that's at my house is yours.
Oh, so, what a mensch.
I know. Good guy right there. So he gave me a figure. I tried to buy it off of him. He wouldn't take $1 from it. So it's actually something I've been looking for a long time. It's actually something that I got on eBay about a year ago, but the seller sent it to me in a bubble envelope.
I remember that story, yes.
Yep. Yeah, so I ended up getting my money back and selling it Lucy. So it all worked out there. But at Time Warp Toys, nice store. I'd say probably 3 or 4 times bigger than our toy store up here in Dixon City. Not a ton of stuff that I loved. The wrestling section wasn't that big. It actually had a lot of aisles dedicated to Funko Pops, but a lot of the aisles were only like a quarter filled. So they need to kind of rearrange what they're doing with their space. But I did discover in the glass case a figure I was looking for a little while now. And it's a figure that doesn't often pop up on eBay, and when it does, it's either loose or it's in an open box or whatever. So I've never had an opportunity to buy one sealed. I looked at the price. The price was good, but the Vansky way, you have to ask for a lower price.
Gotta haggle.
You got to haggle. And I got the lower price, and I'm just loading it up on my phone here to send it to you. But I got the 2003 Jakks Main Event rookie figure of a Miss Stacy Keibler.
Oh, boy.
It's something that I just started looking. You know what it was? When the Miss Hancock Mattel figure came out months ago, that kind of led me down the path to be like, oh, I wonder how many figures she has. And she only has 3. She has 3 Jakks figures. 4 Jakks figures. This one, a box set with Trish and Lita, and a box set with her and Test. So this is from 2003, the only solo release of hers. And then the next year, there was another solo release. So there's not a ton. So I got it. I'm happy. I got it for a lot less than the last completed sale on eBay. And it was something that I walked in looking for. So I was happy with that.
That's always a good feeling. You okay with that upper corner?
It's as good as I'm going to get, man. Again, for the price and for the fact that I've never had an opportunity to buy a sealed one, I'll take it. And I just sent you a picture of the Constantine figure as well.
Yeah, I saw that popping up there. A lot of hands. Comes in a lot of hands. He's doing a lot of magic.
Yeah, like 2 of them have flames on them, so that's a cool thing. And I think one of them actually has like a Zippo in his hand, so it's a sweet figure. So walked around Time Warp. There's a couple other things that I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind this. But I went in with the rule, if I didn't previously want it, I wasn't going to buy it. Unfortunately, right next door to Time Warp is another huge vintage toy store, but they are closed on Mondays.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah. So I had decided I was going to make a trip to Wrestling Universe. Jay Gold, I don't know why he like works and has a family and commitments, so he had to go and take care of that stuff. So he couldn't dedicate the whole day to showing figs for me or going to fig shopping with me. But when I went back to his house to drop him off, I actually got some more care package items from him. He actually gave me, and I'm going to send you this. It is, I guess, a company called Rubber City Toys. It's a guy who was in the Cleveland area who made the little merch table figures of Derek Dillinger and Danhausen.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've seen that Derek figure quite a bit. Yeah,
it's a little 3D printed, or 3D printed like. Jay Gold told me it's like they're casted. But they're like really early gimmick table items for Danhausen and for Derek. And Jay Gold's like, here you go. I got a couple of them. Help yourself. And he completely didn't need to do it, but his hospitality and generosity knows no limits. So it was a good dude. And because of that, I have signed him on as the official sponsor for the second year in a row of the Gender Neutral Monarch. So once again, the mysterious benefactors, their logo will be emblazed across all of the Gender Neutral Monarch tournaments. But so I got those two from him. It was awesome. I got the Constantine. We parted ways. I decided to hit the wrestling universe. There are 3 locations. One of them is in like New York City. I didn't want to hit that one. One of them, the one that I actually had the most success at and that I liked the most on Long Island, is actually no longer there. They closed it. So
wow.
All they have left on Long Island is their original store, which is like the real small one. I think it's in Comac. So I went in there. I looked around. At this point, I was kind of getting tired. I was like, all right, if I hit the road now, I'm going to get home at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. I did ask him if he had a certain figure that I was looking for. He did not. And I asked him, what did you have on it the last time you had one? And he told me a ridiculously high price. And I kind of chuckled and I left. So I did not buy anything from the wrestling universe. But that figure in our doll group, the soon-to-be named Network Doll Dork group, DJ pointed out that somebody was selling an Elite 41 ECW Terry Funk on eBay. And fun fact, it was not listed as an Elite 41. It was just listed as like Terry Funk figure. And because DJ casts a wide net on eBay and I didn't, I just had a save search for Elite 41. It came up in his searches. So he pointed out to me it was in pretty nice condition. It met my box rules. I sent an offer. It was countered. We met in the middle. And I am now the proud owner of Elite 41 Terry Funk.
Nice.
So obviously that's another one that I've been looking for a while. So again, with 2023 being the year of financial responsibility, if I was looking for something in 2022, then that's more than okay. You know?
And yours is in much. Are you opening yours, or what are you doing with yours?
Opening? Who are you talking to?
Okay.
No, of course not.
Well, if and when you find a Fig Defender for that, you know,
they have those on Ringside because I bought Fig Defenders for that size figure before.
I bought what they claim fits those ones, and I got a box with 3 of them in there because it said it fits them all, and they don't.
See, maybe you picked the wrong one because the Alexa Bliss's rookie figure is that size, and there is at least 2 other figures that, like, I know there's a Finn Balor Ringside exclusive that's that size, and I bought Defenders and they fit fine. So maybe they just sent you the wrong ones.
Maybe they sent me the wrong ones.
But that doesn't sound like Ringside. All right, so that is it for figures. But I do have one other weekly purchase.
Okay.
And, Joe, I mentioned before that we might have to talk a little bit about sports because the Steelers are 1 game away from having a winning season. They're currently 8-8. And I left them for dead at the beginning of the season. They started the season 2-6, and since then have gone on a 6-2 run. They have not given up more than 17 points in over their last 6 games. If the Jets and the Bills win this weekend, and obviously the Steelers take care of the dirty, stinking Cleveland Browns, the Steelers are in the playoffs. We have a healthy TJ Watt. Minka Fitzpatrick is leading the league in interceptions. And, Joe, we have Kenny, by God, Pickett as our quarterback. A franchise quarterback is born. After 18 years of stability with a Hall of Fame quarterback, I had to suffer through nearly 8 weeks of not knowing who our future quarterback is going to be. But, Joe, Steelers have gotten it figured out. Kenny Pickett, a football god, is ready for a new decade of dominance, maybe 2 decades. I don't know. He's young. And I needed to pull the trigger on a Kenny Pickett rookie card, and I did it. I polled a couple different people. I talked to Derek, friend of the show, designer of our brackets. I asked for his opinion. I talked to Ronald Two Legs, got some of his insights on what I should buy. And when it all came down to it, I purchased a 2022 Contenders rookie ticket, autographed and limited to 20 in existence. I have a Kenny Pickett rookie card. It might just be the first of a couple. It's still early. We'll see. But I had to lock it in. I had to get in the ground floor before he's, making Mahomes look like his bitch and just completely breaking every record in all of football. He might never lose another game. I think that could be a possibility. Has somebody ever gone on like a multiple season undefeated streak? If anybody could, it might be Kenny Pickett. He's that good. So I'm happy that I finally grabbed that. I'm just kidding about him going undefeated. Please, football gods, don't jinx me. But I'm excited. He's been playing really well. I see something in the kid. I think with a good offensive coordinator, which the Steelers don't currently have, I think that he's, he might be a good quarterback in the future. So I picked it up. I spent a couple bucks, not nearly as much money as I thought I was going to. I actually got a really good deal.
Well, listen, who are the Steelers playing this weekend?
Cleveland Browns.
I've heard of that team.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably on the paper that you stick under your bird cage,
Are you and all of our AIW friends going to be super annoying about this on social media this weekend?
Most likely, yes. If I can preview it, I will be very pessimistic, and I will probably call the game as a loss if the Steelers are down 3-0 in the first quarter. If I also had to predict, I am sure Jayhawk will complain about every single referee call throughout the game. And I'm sure many people will blame Arthur MacArthur if the Browns lose.
That sounds about right. That sounds usually the way that it goes.
Yeah. But so that game, honestly, if I had my druthers, if I had my choice, I would like the Steelers to beat the Browns, finish with a 9-8 record, but also miss the playoffs, because honestly, if they got into the playoffs, they would get annihilated by like a good team. So I think I can hang my hat. I said this on Sports Talk with Marcus, like at the beginning of the season. A 9-8 non-losing season is a victory for me.
It's good. It's good to have that sort of low barometer as a fan, You
gotta have baby steps. I'm not like a Cowboys fan where I'm like, oh, this is the year, we them boys, we're winning it all. No, I set expectations that are reasonable. Like not having a losing season, being better than the Browns. All things that are very easy to do.
I know, Todd every year as part of his bit says that the Raiders are going to go undefeated this season. And I think the Raiders were mathematically eliminated from the Super Bowl by like week 3.
No, they actually about 2 weeks ago they were technically eliminated.
And then I know every year as the season begins, Sidney Bacabella puts out a tweet that the Bears are going undefeated and winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's respectable. I like it. Some people have confidence that maybe they shouldn't have.
Right, and that hasn't happened in 36 years that the Bears had a winning season. So 37 years. My apologies.
Well, won a Super Bowl. They've had winning seasons since, and they were in a Super Bowl not too long. I mean, not too long ago, but like 12 years ago.
But what have you done for me lately?
Exactly. But that's it for me, Joe. Just a small week in weekly purchases.
Well, listen, I hope all these purchases happen before Saturday or whatever, so that it counts for 2022. Because I know 2023 is the year of financial responsibility. So,
well, again, if I wanted it before the calendar flipped over, it's okay. That's Todd logic.
I contacted an artist 7 months ago, and they just got back in touch with me today. So that counts as a 2022 purchase, even though no funds have transacted or no decisions have been made either way.
Yeah, I added these things to my eBay watch list in 2022 or earlier, and Kenny Pickett was drafted in 2022, so that counts.
It's hard to argue with that specious logic.
I accept your apology.
All right. So, Adam.
Yeah.
I think we did a show today.
We did you know what? You take out all the edits, and this is actually a relatively short show.
Listen, I have to acknowledge the edits because they really fucking pissed me off today. You don't know how pissed off I've been for like the last 3 days. Like, I would play all heat, no heaters, but I'm afraid that I'm going to lose connection with you. So let's call it a win. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to At Odds with Wrestling. For Adam, this is Joe saying be safe out there and enjoy some wrestling.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.